Hello and welcome everyone. Test, 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 test. Okay, looks like it's going through okay. Hope you guys are doing well tonight. Tonight we are going to be, I think, finishing up this debate between Six from Tokyo, aka Six, versus, sorry if I'm getting this wrong, it's either VI Batman VI or just Batman. Um, Covering Sasuke versus Neji. We've been talking about it for a couple of streams now, so if you are just watching the VOD or if this is your first time checking out this little series, please be sure to go and check out the previous two episodes, which are going to be on. I'm always going to leave them up on the live section of my channel. Fair warning that if you're new to the streams, we usually just kind of shoot the shit and talk about random stuff for the first hour or so. So if you're looking to get into the debate review itself, you might need to skip ahead to about an hour in. I will try to get to a better habit of leaving timestamps in the description so that people can skip right ahead to that if you want to. But I am I am somewhat forgetful, so sorry if I don't get to that right away. That being said, so I mentioned last time that I would listen back to the debate to review arguments and stuff, and I did listen back to a chunk of it, and my main goal for tonight, if we can, would be to identify some arguments from Six, because I want to make sure that like we're not just going through Batman's arguments, we're also going through Six's positive claims as well. Unfortunately, I think we ended up around, or sorry, we wrapped up the previous stream around here because Six was fighting the Fire Giant last time, and I listened from about here to about here today, and most of it I'm not going to cover tonight because most of it is just a lot of back and forth, a lot of dead air, a lot of just, you know, kind of insults and stuff like that. There is one significant argument that I do want to bring up about whether or not clones are relative to their owners or casters or whatever you want to call them. And I think that's worth acknowledging. But beyond that, it's just a lot of like bickering back and forth and a lot of, you know, kind of arguing at and with the judges and stuff like that. So I don't really know that it's productive for us to go over that. Like, I don't have anything to add. I will just say as a brief disclaimer that, as I mentioned before, I know that Six and Batman have history, and I'm not going to take sides in the drama between the two of them. I'm just going to try to evaluate what is being said at face value. So, for example, like if we start listening to the debate here and I hear Six interrupting a lot, I'm going to call it out and be like, "Wow, Six is interrupting a lot. He shouldn't do that." But this is with the understanding that, like, I know that you know, Batman has consistently been like harassing and insulting and like getting in Six's face the entire time. So I might be leaving some of that out, and then there might be some more history where Six started it, and then like Batman started before that. Like, so I'm not trying to really take sides about that. I'm just going to try to talk about, like, okay, if I were a neutral observer who just came into this debate and I'm just trying to talk about the arguments, would I say that this argument here, this particular instance of conduct over there, or this particular scan or whatever, how do I feel about whether or not it works? And then all the other stuff about like you know, the peripheral stuff surrounding the personalities around the debate, I'm going to try to leave that out, because that's not my strong suit, commenting on that stuff to begin with. I will say, you know, I do feel like Kenrock, who was the moderator, I believe, it was sort of unclear to me whether Kenrock was supposed to be the one moderating or D1 is supposed to be judging, or vice versa, or if they were sharing duties. Either way, I do feel like he got too much of a bad rap. It was clear that he was trying to do his best. So I just want to reiterate again, you know, like, I think with hundreds of people watching, with two, you know, well-known community members, like, yelling at you, like, breathing down your neck the whole time, that's a lot of pressure. If you're not, you know, used to that sort of thing, I don't think we should really be too hard on Kenrock for not, you know, handling that perfectly or whatever. Like, he did the best that he could. And there's a lot of things that I could say, like, hey, I don't think D1 should be interjecting here, or I think maybe Six should be a little, you know, I'm going to try to avoid that stuff to try and just focus on the arguments. Keyword try, like, I'm probably not going to be able to help myself from time to time. That being said, let me catch up on chat and then we'll get started. Hey there, Shinigami, it is good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you too, Spicy Boy. Thanks for coming back. Hope you've been having a great week. Let's see, Shinigami's going to be drawing, but you want to just get away from your computer. Yeah, that makes sense. I've been trying to spend some time away from the screens as well, with some degree of success. But like, it's been nice. You know, the upshot of not having work at the moment is that I've been like refocusing my efforts into like house cleaning and like spending more time with the dog, doing hikes and doing yard work and stuff like that. And it's really been great. I think on a lot of different levels to just be away from the screen, pretty like much, yeah, having less screen time overall has been really healthy. So I would encourage that. And also fixing my sleep schedule, man. I had a couple of days back to back where I was so tired. It was like getting through the day with like keeping my eyes open was a challenge, and it was ironic because I was actually sleeping better than I had been in a very long time, but it just turned out that I had like all of this sleep debt, or like I just had such shitty sleep for so long, and I was just like masking it with tons and tons of caffeine. And so now that I've stopped having as much caffeine, it's like holy shit, like my body is telling me, yeah, I've been trying to tell you, motherfucker, that like you're not taking good care of yourself for a long time now. This is what happens. So it's been kind of a nice, oh, voice crack. It's been kind of a nice wake up call. A little humbling. Like I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I started going back to the gym, and it's like, wow, okay, I'm not as strong or as flexible as I used to be, and that's humbling, and it's a little discouraging. But at the same time, like every single time I go to the gym, it feels good to have gone, and I feel like a little bit better next time. And so it's like that's kind of where I'm at right now. Is I'm just kind of reevaluating stuff and feeling gradually a teeny bit better by acknowledging the things that I need to fix. So yeah, I'm just sharing all that, not to make this all about me, but just to kind of relate um, uh, to the trend of maybe making healthier choices and stuff like that, and to encourage you in doing the same. Hey there, Slimy Orbit. It's good to see you as well. I didn't forget. Well, I forgot slash didn't forget about the JoJo's thing. Um, as I mentioned, it's just been like really, really hard for me to focus on anything. Apart from doing like brainless tasks like mowing the lawn or whatever, like I haven't been playing video games for the most part, and I haven't read any more One Piece, or even like I've been kind of procrastinating on some paperwork because it's just been hard for me to focus, going through the caffeine withdrawal and fatigue and stuff like that. So I will get to it. I don't want to ignore your request. It does seem interesting. So feel free to poke me in a couple days if I haven't gotten back to you. Just understand it's not a lack of interest, because I am interested in it. It's literally just like I've sat down to read it a few times now, and within 5 or 10 minutes, my eyes just go blurry, and like my brain just like vacates. I'm just like staring at the screen, like drooling, like I don't know, some sort of a cave creature. So yeah, I will get to it. Just be patient with me in the meantime, please. Let's see. Been bleh for a few hours. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you're doing okay. I hope you get a chance to rest. What is your character that I drew read to you? Yeah, I'd be happy to talk to you about it more in Discord. But basically, I don't know. I liked the approach that you took to the design. I like if I remember correctly, I like the color scheme, like the reds and the browns and stuff. Let me just take another quick look at this, so that I have it fresh in my mind. Um, yeah, yeah. So not the brown, but like the darker green. The lace boots are kind of nice. Like she has a bit of a Tsunade vibe to her. I think the flame seductress kind of look, or like the sassy, or what would you call it? Like you know, she kind of reminds me personality wise a little bit of like Lucy from Cyberpunk Edge Runners, like having just stolen your data chip and being like, you can't catch me. So yeah, she definitely seems like somebody who would like have a lot of physical strength as well. That's cool. It's a cool design. Review part two, part two. Yeah, part 2.22. You cannot debate. Let's see. By the way, gonna be watching Person of Interest with my mom. Oh yeah, have fun. Hope everything goes well. Shout out to your mom. Not in that one. Never mind. I mean, shout out to having a pleasant evening sharing things with your mom, not like, hey, I'm shouting out to your mom. Holy shit. Okay. Let's see. Slimy Orb says, speaking of random shit, do you remember to read the JoJo? Oh, yeah, yeah. Sorry about that. If clones are relative, just kind of depends on how much chakra is used and also the plot. Yeah, so just to kind of summarize that, let me have a drink of water first, real quick. So, over in this section over here, trying to remember the 210 mark. Okay. So in this section over here, basically, Batman makes an argument that is contingent upon the idea of clones being relative to the user, and Six rightly calls out, in my opinion, hey, can you please provide me with evidence that clones scale to the user? And they get into not exactly a gridlock, but they get into a little bit of a standstill where basically they're trying to ascertain whether or not clones necessarily or likely scale to the user. And this kind of got me thinking about how best to address this, because from my perspective as like a casual reader just going through and reading the series for fun or whatever, I because it feels kind of weird that you need to specify I'm just doing this for fun, but you know what I mean, like not looking for power scaling arguments or whatever. The way that I interpret it is that when characters create their own shadow clones, the clones are essentially like copies of themselves, hence the name clone. And so at a baseline, they can perform approximately the same way that the base form can. They can approximately perform with the same amount of speed. They can approximately perform. They can perform some of the same jutsu, including like high level iconic jutsu, like Naruto's, like Rasen Shuriken is a great example of that. Now they might have. We talked about this a little bit last time. They might have certain nerfs compared to the base form, like they might not be able to have the same sensory abilities. I think somebody else brought up last time that Naruto's clone couldn't sense Sasuke, but Naruto's during the Kaguya fight, Naruto's main body could sense Sasuke in the other dimension, but the clone might not have been able to, something like that. There's definitely disparities between the clones and the user. I think that the biggest mismatch, so to speak, is durability. From what I've seen, and this would be a topic that could be a whole analysis. We can go through a whole bunch of different fights and try to observe it. From what I've seen, just picturing in my head from a casual standpoint, the clones tend to have less resilience than the main body. So, for example, I think we can all probably picture in our heads an example of like Sasuke's fighting Naruto, and he just punches one of the clones really hard in the stomach, and the clone just poofs, right? Whereas if he punched Naruto in the stomach, it might hurt him, but he's not going to die from it. So it seems to be that like the clones themselves have like a threshold of maximum damage that they can take, and then they will just kind of be dispersed. The shadow clones specifically. So that that being said, what Batman tries to do is something I think he should get credit for, but isn't necessarily something that will win him a point in a debate. What he tried to do is basically be like, okay, look at all of these instances in which Naruto and other characters are fighting alongside their clones. When Naruto is leading with his clones, like when he's doing well against an opponent, his clones will usually be doing well as well. And when he's losing, his clones will probably be losing as well. And so this is one of the examples that he brings up. He also brings up the fight against Gaara. And so basically the idea is that because of that, and because the clones themselves can fight in coordinated packs with their user or creator, then they have to exhibit some kind of baseline relativity. And I think that that is probably fair overall. I think there's probably some exceptions though. For example, like let's say Sakura made a shadow clone of herself. Would the clone be able to put, if then they were both to put the maximum amount of chakra that they possibly could into a focused, like Tsunade style concentrated energy punch, so to speak, would they be able to necessarily have the same, would they have the same exact maximum output value of energy, or could Sakura maybe muster up some extra reserves of chakra to be able to do that? I think that's one area where you could say, okay, maybe Sakura her main body could hit a little bit harder if pressed, or certainly with regards to chakra reserves, like I think it's I'm not 100% clear on this, but it seems to me like the main body could probably continue to pull from chakra reserves in a way that the clone couldn't. That would be a whole other topic too, but that's just like my intuition on that. I don't know if that made any sense, but basically like there's other things like healing. Like I don't know for sure if a clone would be as good as healing. I think maybe it would be, but I don't know. So there's things that you can dispute, but I think that like overall, there is a baseline level of relativity in speed, but you can and like attack potency and stuff like that and jutsu usage, but you can dispute whether Like if Naruto is okay, put it this way: if Naruto is at 100% and hasn't made a clone, and then goes to make a Rasen Shuriken with the maximum amount of chakra he can use safely, and then he creates a shadow clone, that shadow clone is not going to be able to output the same amount of power with that Rasen Shuriken as Naruto in base. But if Naruto made a clone that had 100% of the energy and chakra reserves and something, could that shadow clone produce an equivalent Rasen Shuriken? I think so. Could they hit as hard? Could they jump as fast? I think so. Um, so I think Batman should get credit for bringing up a whole bunch of different fights and for being ready to provide scans and being like, here is what the preponderance of evidence seems to be indicating. I think Six is well within his rights to also be like, well, this is just like, so if Batman were to come forward and say like, okay, look at all these Naruto clones, they're fighting Sasuke, and all the clones and Naruto himself are all superior to Sasuke. Six's contention with that would then be, okay, well, this just means that Naruto and his clones are all individually superior to Sasuke. It doesn't necessarily mean they're all relative, which is true. So Batman makes good points. Six makes reasonable contentions. I think personally, I would side with Batman's interpretation in that I think personally, subjectively, that the clones are probably relative to the user in most stats and in most ways. But in terms of the debate, I think Six did the correct thing in pointing out the potential problems with the argument, and I think he satisfied, like, for lack of a better word, like the burden of skepticism or burden of rejoinder or whatever. Like he was correct and effective in pointing out the hiccup in Batman's position. So my personal opinion would be to agree with Batman's perspective, but if I were moderating or judging the debate, I would give Six the point for argumentation overall. I hope that makes sense. I can answer more questions about that if you want. But yeah, let's see. Spicy Boy says, it's good we're evaluating the debate. I was worried for a second we were reviewing the comedy because Six won that. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm sorry. Again, not to take sides here, but, like, Batman's performance just made me uncomfortable. Like, in addition to all of the really weird, bizarre things that he said about Six and his weight and his intelligence and stuff like that, there was also just stuff that, like, was confusing. Like, he was convinced, we talked about this last time, right? Like, he was convinced that the chat bot was biased in favor of Six, and he called it, like, a fat Wally bitch or something, like slandering Wally from the Pixar movies or whatever. And then what else? Then when it seems like he has a crush on D1 or something, and because anytime D1 and him are arguing or like talking, he seems to be trying to impress him to the point where, like, he starts a separate conversation with D1 reviewing certain arguments from the beginning of the debate because he wants to show off, like, how well he did at schooling Six apparently. And then they start talking about the arguments that Batman was making back here, and then Six gets confused and is like, wait, I thought we were talking about this, and that leads to another, like, a bunch of this is them just arguing about what they're arguing about, like, what topic they're supposed to be on because of that. So, yeah, Six, I don't, in principle, in theory, I don't like going for the personals the way that he did, being like, hey, you have a kid, you know, what are you doing? Bringing up stuff from people's personal life, I think, is below the belt. But I can't deny that it was also really fucking funny. Like, Batman would go on a long screed, like a long rant, and then Six would just be like, where's your kid? Where's your kid right now? It's like, Drake versus Pusha T vibes. Like, no matter what Batman would come up with, Six would just say, cool, you have a child. Like, it's... There's not really much you could say in response to that. Like, you're screaming at another person, calling them like a sinister troglodyte or whatever, while your child is in the next room. It's not a good look. But yeah, so Six definitely wins the comedy and the fan vote, I think. I did see that somebody created a playlist of this whole saga, and I think Jay the Great made a video called "We Need to Drain the Naruto Debate Swamp" or something like that. So I had to check that out. I haven't watched it yet, but I'll be curious to see, because it seems like it came after this debate, so I'm sure he has thoughts. Be curious to see what he said. Spicy Boy says, my eyes have felt garbo recently. Oh, that sucks. Super dry. It's not screen time, though. I think I got hit with super fictive hay fever. Oh, God, that fucking sucks, dude. I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, this is they're probably no duh, but, like, have you tried eye drops, and have you Do you have an eye doctor that you can go see to maybe give you something to help out? Either way, I'm sorry that you're going through that. That's no fun. Slimy Orb says it's okay, John. Take your time. Thank you. I appreciate your patience there. I don't want to leave anybody hanging. You know. I just want to make sure that that when I respond, so I get like a little not paranoid, but self-conscious or whatever, and like I have a bunch of stuff that people have sent me that I feel bad that I haven't responded to yet, but I keep waiting for like, okay, I want to be in the right headspace. I want to have no distractions because I really want to give this my all, and then that time never comes, and I just keep putting it off, which is why my fucking watch later list is so gargantuan. But now that I have more time on my more free time, you know, if I think it'll be easier for me to take the time to do that. It would honestly be nice to just also respond to some nice things, you know. As fun as it is to harp on about how I don't like X, Y, or Z debaters argument in X, Y, or Z debate, it is like I watched Cameron's video on like his Universal Naruto debunk, and I largely really liked it. There were a couple of points that I was like, okay, I think maybe some feedback here, mostly with like citing sources and stuff you've heard me say before. But overall, I was like, yeah, I like this video. I would like to encourage other people to see it and maybe to comment on a couple of things. So maybe I'll do a response to that at some point. And it'll be nice to just be celebrating something for the most part, as opposed to just like nitpicking and tearing it down, you know? So I'm open to doing that with other stuff. Although on the subject of nitpicking and you know, being pedantic and stuff like that, walkie talkie, I'm still not sure what we're going to do exactly, but I think what's going to happen is I'm going to review their debate that they did with Sage, and on Sunday or next Thursday I'll do a reaction to it, and then I might go on their podcast as well, or something like that, and have a bit of a back and forth discussion. But they've been asking me to react to some of their stuff for a while, and yeah, I would love to. I've just been sort of in the weeds with the debates that we've been talking about so far, and noodles and stuff like that. So anyway, let's see. Slimy Orb says, I think it depends on the strength of the user and the amount of chakra. Like if somebody weaker used water clones, it would be the same strength, but Zabuza would either have his being 1/10 or cost more. Yeah, so that's the other thing too, that I think that like since characters can put more chakra into their legs to be able to jump higher and faster, for example, I think the idea is that we, like, within the community, when we talk in the context of debates, we can have the tendency to be like, okay, there's no way that a clone could theoretically scale to the maximum speed of an individual fighter, that like the caster, because the caster would always just have more chakra to put in their legs in the first place to be able to like maximize their potential jump height and speed and stuff like that. But the thing is, we don't ever really see characters like jump up into the stratosphere, you know? Like we don't really see characters do, I guess if you think characters move at the speed of light, that's one thing, but, or like with body flicker, but I don't know that the bodies of characters in the Naruto universe, like their physique, supports them like scaling their speed to an arbitrarily high level via just dumping more and more chakra in them. I think the whole point of well, I know it's more about like internal musculature and stuff like that, and like your internal anatomy, but the idea with the gates, I think, is to establish that there are discrete limits that the human body has, and if you try to push beyond those, your body will push back and break. So, I don't know. I think it's a little ambiguous. I guess I'll just leave it at that. Let's see. Spicy Boy says, for me, the Kaguya and Rooftop Sasuke fight were the moments I did to take back and first made me question inferiority, because Naruto's performance on his own was fighting significantly better versus them. Because Rooftop, for example, before the clone jutsu, Naruto and Sasuke were matching impacts, but then he uses shadow clones and Sasuke beats them all up without a sweat. Interesting. Okay, so do you think that like when he makes his shadow clones, he's diverting, so to speak, some of his chakra reserves to those clones, so he has less chakra to be able to like put into his own strikes and movement and stuff like that? He's banking on being able to overwhelm Sasuke, but since he has now lost his chakra and he's split it up, well, not lost it, but he's diverted it and split it up into the individual clones, now he is less powerful overall, and the individual clones are less powerful than he was before, and so Sasuke can now like pick them off one by one with greater ease. Because that actually makes a lot of sense if that's what you're saying. I think you could also maybe just say that like Sasuke, I don't know, switched up into like took things more seriously or like ramped things up a notch or something. But I like the first interpret. I think the first interpretation is more complete. If that makes sense. Be sure to communicate. You post when you go on the Walkie Talkie podcast. I don't get notification for the releases for some reason. Yeah, it's like it's really weird. When I went on their like I've been subscribed to them for a while, but like I will either get notifications, like push notifications on my phone for every single thing they upload, or I will get nothing. And I think I need to just go in. I think there's something about like the personalized settings that are cursed, and then I need to just go in and fix that somehow. Oh, I think so. But yeah, I'll definitely community post it, and I'll do a post, and then I'll do a a Discord announcement as well. Slimy Orb says, I wonder if clones could make more chakra usable. Like if a clone used a lot of chakra, then rested, could they refill up? So I think it depends. I think that like by default, I don't think so, because they are essentially like made out of chakra. So I don't think that they have the ability to generate more, because they would need to rely on their mental and physical energy to do so. But I don't think clones themselves generate mental and physical energy like a regular human does. At least I don't think there is any evidence for that. So, like, not to make an argument from ignorance, but I'm just not seeing that personally. But I think there are some exceptions. Like if Naruto's like KCM clone ran out of KCM chakra, or like turned it off, right? And then he went into Sage mode, which means that he gathered nature energy and then blended it together. Okay, yeah, so to make Senjutsu chakra, you need to incorporate mental and physical energy. So I think that actually debunks what I said, because I mean, assuming that the Rasengan that he uses on the Raikage is a Senjutsu Rasengan, then that means it has Senjutsu chakra, which means it has mental, physical, and mental slash spiritual, physical, and nature energy in it, which means they can make chakra. And also, if they're producing jutsu, then they can mold chakra presumably, and then apply transformation to it anyway. So yeah, they must be able to, on some level. And if that's the case, then yeah, maybe if they well, I mean, then that starts to get into interesting questions about like, well, can a clone sleep? Like, can a clone eat and recover energy via calories and stuff like that, right? And I honestly don't know if there's enough lore behind it to know for sure. But I think I think there's enough evidence that you could scrape together to make that case. Maybe not based on part 1 knowledge alone, but then once you get to part 2 and they have like their persistent consciousness thing, then you have those scenes. Sorry, my voice keeps cracking. Then you have those scenes where like Naruto will be like arguing with his own clones, like during the bell test, or you know, some of Naruto's clones will point out, hey, that other guy over there, he's about to transform during the waterfall training. I think that might be the case, you know. But I don't want to think about what other anatomical functions clones may or may not be able to to come up with. So, shout out to the filler up. Will Naruto clones betray? Oh, they betray him. Oh shit, I didn't know that. I feel like the filler, there might actually be some hidden gems in the filler. It'd be cool to kind of delve into that a little bit. Oh, but yeah, so sorry again. I'll just do one blanket apology for coughing and yawning and stuff. You know, don't want to apologize for it every time, but I'll acknowledge that I'm not in like that I wish I were more well rested. I'm getting there. I'm getting better. Yeah, we can pick it up from I think where we were before, which is the 2-minute 10 ish mark. Let me know if you have any questions or want to delve into anything. I have the Neji fight pulled up here. I have the Neji Kidomaru fight pulled up. Kimimaro fight pulled up over here, and then the Naruto versus Sasuke as well. Also, quick recommendation. My partner and I have been making our way through Frieren, the anime on Netflix, and really, really enjoying it. It's great. I really, really like it. Also, I randomly saw an animation um, for Witch Hat Atelier. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Atelier. And man, that shit seems to have some really, really, really good animation in it. So, and sound design, cool sound design too. So I haven't really watched any of it beyond a couple of YouTube clips. But I think it might be worth checking out if you're looking for like a fantasy, you know, anime bait with like magic and dragons and shit that has really, really cool animations. Let's see. Spicy Boy says, somewhat side topic. Is there a reason we know for why Hashirama and Yamato opt for wood clones instead of shadow clones? Is there a statement from a source? I don't think so. I think somebody previously on stream suggested that Hashirama might have been the first person to ever invent clones conceptually. Like, he invented the clone jutsu, and his wood clones were the first form of clone. And then Tobirama saw that and was like, okay, well, I want to do that too, but I don't have the ability to use wood, so I'm going to come up with another solution. And his clone jutsu and the shadow clone jutsu was his innovation on that. I don't know if that's supported by anything, like any hard evidence, but I really like that interpretation. So sorry if I'm not remembering who. Sorry that I'm not remembering who specifically came up with that previously, but yeah, I thought it was really interesting. Trying to see if we could find anything here. It would actually probably be in the third data book. I'm just curious now. Lightning clone. Okay. By a powerful electric shock, shaping lightning release chakra produces electrical currents that move freely to form a human body. Of the year's commander, when it's destroyed, the clone explodes, revealing its true shape. Okay. Adding the lightning release nature transformation to a shadow clone. So that's interesting. So, Kakashi's lightning clone that he uses on the Asura path is specifically a shadow clone that then he adds lightning transformation to it, or lightning release to it. That's cool. What else do we have? Because there's like water clones and stuff like that too. Literally transform into a body. Just keep us think. Yeah, so I think it might actually be fun to do a deep dive on clone techniques in the future. But let me see. Come on. I'm trying to see if I can find the third data book. Because the third data book should be the one that has the... I think we talked about this recently when we went over the like Yamato's wood clone thing. So... okay. Yeah, so just bear with me for a second. Because I don't think it specifically calls out his... Well, actually, let me check one thing first. Alright, I'm jumping around a lot. Rock clone technique. A clone technique that uses stones as an intermediary, distinctly used by Iwa Shinobi. Because a clone possesses mass that's hard to see through. Okay. Is there anything in here about wood clones? Excuse me. Octopus leg clone. Multiple wood release clone. By altering chakra and cells, it's an applied version of wood clones that possesses higher fighting strength than shadow clones. Okay. Before its overwhelming power, the enemy loses their established methods. Okay. So, I'm sorry, I want to reread that real quick. It possesses higher fighting strength than shadow clones. Okay. Applied version of wood clones. Okay, so that's all I see in the fourth data book. Let's see. Be able to find something in the third data book relatively quickly. The jutsu section isn't all that long actually compared to the characters and plot synopses and things like that. So I'm gonna try to scan in the left bottom part. Let me know if I skip through it. Okay, let's see. Piercing power. I have a tendency to just like skip past it, unfortunately, so let me know if I miss it, but I think we should be able to find it. You could also just look in the fucking glossary or whatever. Yeah. it's not those. Not too many more, so I might as well just keep going and see what we can find. Okay, there's the waterfall jutsu, so we're getting closer. Susanoo, it's not that. Okay, ink clone, that's interesting. Unique cloning technique, unlike a regular doppelganger technique, the ink doppelganger... Bleh, bleh, bleh. Unlike a regular clone technique, the ink clone possesses mass, making it difficult to see through the deception. It's extremely useful jutsu for foundation missions that often involve surprise attacks. So sophisticated that it even deceived Kabuto. Turns back into ink, so that is made out of ink, actually. Looks like. Stage mode. Human puppet. Okay, a bunch of Sasuke stuff over here. Cartoon beast mimicry. It's gotta be in here somewhere. Okay, we're getting to Kabuto's, because I think we also have a not, is it Kabuto? No, Yamato. We also have some information about Yamato's. Yeah, let's see, wood style. In an instant, he can create a wooden doll. Domed wall. Okay, here we go. Art of the wood doppelganger. A protean wood doppelganger onto which one's heart and soul is projected. By using chakra to change the nature of one's cells, a doppelganger is created that is more durable than the usual shadow clone, one that does not vanish with a single blow. Okay, so that seems to indicate, I think there are exceptions, somebody pointed this out, but that seems to indicate that like the default durability configuration of a shadow clone is that it will disperse when being hit once. But that might be something that then Naruto creates exceptions for later, so maybe take that with a grain of salt. In addition, because it has the ability to merge with plants, it works well in reconnaissance missions. Okay, so this particular clone has attributes that the basic shadow clone doesn't, like being able to perform this merging ability. But it's also made out of the user's cells, right? So it's not just like, however it is that the main or like default clone jutsu works, where it's like quote unquote just made out of chakra. This seems to be made out of like a branching off, pun intended, of the actual cells. It's a literal physical extension of the caster's body. Considered the battlefield loan. Okay, counterfeit Kagebunshin. That's interesting that it's called a counterfeit. The fundamental shadow doppelganger concept that information held by the doppelganger will be accumulated in the real body applies to the wood doppelganger as well. However, the shadow doppelganger, which is comprised of chakra, and the wood doppelganger based on cells are completely different jutsu. Wood doppelgangers change the nature of Yamato's own cells into plants by transforming a doppelganger into the shape of a seed. It can serve as a transmitter once the intended target swallows it. That's right? Like that's technically the same jutsu, right? That is Yamato extending his cells into another object that can then relay information back. So it's saying that these seeds are actually an extension of the clone jutsu. Capabilities like this make it an extremely convenient jutsu. Placing his hand directly on a wood doppelganger to change its shape as he absorbs information it gathered. So he doesn't even need to like dispel it. He can just absorb the information directly from it. Okay, so they are completely different jutsu. That's interesting. See, this is why I think the databooks shouldn't be like thrown out categorically. I have a lot of skepticism that I apply to the databook, specifically to like the specific wording of certain things, certain feats and things like that. But they are extremely valuable resources, and there's a lot of information in the databooks that I don't think is really even, like, I don't think this stuff is very clear, if at all even mentioned in the main series itself. So yeah, they're very, very useful tools for sure. Yeah. Oh, I don't know if that answered your question at all, Spicy, but hopefully it gives some insight. Oh, hey there, Karibo. It's good to see you. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing okay. I'm pretty tired as usual, but, you know, hanging in there, doing okay. Slabby Orb says, I know I brought up at one point, but it was from a YouTuber, not my original deal. Oh, I appreciate you extending the credit there. That makes sense. Yeah. Oh, Karibo, I was just looking for information about shadow clones and wood clones specifically. Maybe the 4th data book might be in there. Yeah, I poked around in there. If you know of anything else that I might have missed, let me know, but I think we covered it all. Hey there, Blackpool. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Hope you're doing well. Spicy Boy says, interesting, sand clones might be the best clones because they are really durable for clones, and Gar can top them up back to full by putting sand back in. Yeah, I think in terms of overall versatility, the wood clones might be better for if you incorporate like the recon intel stuff. I wonder if Gara's sand clones, like, I so can Gara actually make full on sand clones, or is it sand substitution? Because I think he basically used his sand to create like a copy of his body, so to speak, but it wasn't a full-on clone necessarily that could fight and think and talk, right? I think it was basically just a shell. Am I misremembering that? Um, Black Bull says every element has a clone, but the shadow clone is more prioritized. Like we've got wood clone, water clone, mud clone, and even normal clone. That's right. There's like the basic clone, and then there's the shadow clone, which the basic clones don't have any substance or solidity to them, if I'm recalling correctly, but the shadow clones do. And I don't think that the basic clones can relay information back to the user once they're dispelled. They're literally just like they're not genjutsu, but they are more of an illusion than anything else, if that makes sense. Spicy Boy says, I did answer, thank you. Interesting dive into the data. Yeah, this stuff is super fun, so I appreciate the question. Gonna get some water real quick. Okay. So with that being said, yeah, I'm gonna start playing. Sorry for the voice crack. Damn. I'm sorry for apologizing. No, not gonna go gonna go down that road. But yeah, let's get started with the debate. Picking up from the 2:10 minute mark. Obviously, you know, as usual disclaimers. I'm going to be interrupting and talking over it a lot. So if you want to get the full experience, do go watch it on Six's channel. Please check out the previous two streams if you would like to see the full saga. They're always going to be up on the live section of the channel. And that being said, yeah, let's resume. Black Bull says you are from LA, right? No, I'm not from LA.
Okay.
I have visited LA. It is definitely not any place that I would want to put down roots. No disrespect to people from that area. It's just like I'm a much most of my life has been spent in quieter, less raucous areas, so to speak. And like when I visited I visited New fuck me. I have visited New York City quite a bit. And every time I'm there for the first hour or two, I'm like, oh my god, this is incredible. Look at all the lights, look at all the colors, look at the sights and the sounds, and oh, this guy's doing that thing, and oh wow, that's really cool and interesting. Look at all the stuff that's going on. And then like by hour 4, I'm like, get me the fuck out of here. I'm so overstimulated. I'm so overwhelmed. So it's like, I love it. You know, I love going and visiting for short bursts, and that applies to LA as well. But I don't think I have the, I think it would definitely be an adjustment if I were to move someplace like that. It would take a lot of getting used to. Hey there, Abyss Hope. Hope you're doing well. It's good to see you. Hey there, Damien. It's good to see you as well. Damien asks, how fast do you think Sage Kabuto, who outspeeds EMS Sasuke's Indra's arrow and can bisect Edo Itachi in front of 2 Sharingan users? I actually probably wouldn't be able to give you a better answer than that. I think it's really difficult to get discrete speed scaling for characters in Naruto, so I'm not going to be the person who comes forward and says like, oh yes, okay, so this is clearly light speed, so this other character would then be 4.2x times like faster than the speed of light or something like that. I would just say that, yeah, my interpretation of Indra's arrow is that it probably arguably outspeeds Sasuke's like base movement speed. So you could use that as part of a scaling to argue that X, Y, or Z character, if they can evade that arrow, they can also evade the movement speed of Sasuke and anybody relative to that. So there's probably extraneous factors, or like there's probably a bunch of variables during the Kabuto fight that are worth acknowledging. The fact that they're trying not to kill him, the fact that Itachi and Sasuke are kind of like looking out for each other at various points, the fact that you know, maybe arguably Kabuto is kind of fucking with them a little bit and teasing them and isn't like super ultra mega bloodthirsted the entire time. But if you're just trying to argue that like if Kabuto can outspeed the Indra's arrow, that he could outspeed the other 2 characters there, I'd probably agree with that. He could probably outspeed, like if Naruto can could not outspeed the arrow, then intuitively it would seem like Kabuto should be faster than that whatever version of Naruto we're talking about there, right? So you could definitely use that as part of a scaling chain, but I wouldn't be able to tell you like how fast it is numerically. Unfortunately, that's not really my strong suit. We're going to talk about Hashirama potentially having 6 paths powers. We can if you want to. I don't really know off the top of my head what you might be referring to. So yeah, I'll leave that the ball in your court, so to speak. What do you think he's getting from Hashirama or from Rikudo Senin? Slimy Orb says Sage Kabuto only dodged a regular Susanoo arrow, not Indra's arrow. Oh, okay. Well, you know what? That actually makes more sense because he wouldn't have gotten like Indra's chakra awakened or bestowed on him or whatever from Hagoromo at that point, right? So. Slimy says, John, do you think that Sasuke is going to have a Rinnegan when he's out of the tree? And if you do, will it be due to him kissing Naruto that one time? If he does, that is the only explanation I will accept. And if Ikemoto tries to come up with any other bullshit retcons, I will not accept them. They will not be canon. And what you have said just now is the only canon that I will accept going forward.
And go scan by scan, just to be clear.
Yeah, I am.
For the record, by the way, I'm playing back at 1.25 speed. That seemed to have worked well in our previous debate analyses. If you want me to slow it down, let me know. That'll be the default, but I'm happy to adjust it.
So the first scan, I kind of already explained this, but Sasuke is literally, he doesn't even have his feet planted or any sense of the word to be able to dodge. He's literally holding on to the side of the statue as Naruto comes at him with shadow clones. And not only that, this is base Sasuke without his Sharingan on. We know the Sharingan amps you physically. Same in the second panel. This is just base Sasuke. All it is.
I would say that, this is just me interjecting my own personal opinion here. I don't think that the Sharingan just being on amps you physically. Like it does kinda, but it's like maybe not the way that he's saying. It gives you quote unquote precognition. It gives you access to the kinetic vision or whatever you want to call it. But I don't think that just turning on your Sharingan somehow makes your punches hit harder or anything like that. I don't know if that's what Six is saying specifically, but if that's the case, then yeah, I would disagree with that. Slimy Orb says Indra's arrow was due to absorbing chakra from all of the Biju. Oh, okay. But doesn't Indra also use that jutsu like in some of the games or like in the filler fight or whatever? That is his actual jutsu, right? But if that's so, I actually don't know that fight, like the last fight between Naruto and Sasuke very well at all. So if you're saying that like that was a jutsu that Sasuke specifically came up with there, and it was specifically using the chakra from the Biju, then yeah, I don't think that Kabuto would scale to that. Was it Damien? Yeah, I don't think it would scale to that. But you could still apply the same logic to that arrow, like the Susanoo arrow in general, right? Like all the same stuff that we were talking about just then, just replace the word Indra's arrow with or the term Indra's arrow with basic Susanoo arrow, and we could, all the same kind of logic could still apply, right? Welcome back, Shinigami. Hope you're doing well. Oh, it was in filler. Yeah. Okay. See, Spicy Boy says, I think he's referencing the reaction speed increase from kinetic vision since he's talking about reacting to attacks. Yeah, that's fair. I think I've heard other people basically be like, turning on the Raikiri is a speed amp. It like amps all your stats. It kind of like a KCM cloak or something like that. And then also turning on the Sharingan amps all your stats. So if you turn on the Sharingan and also have a Raikiri or Chidori active, then you are essentially double buffing yourself across the board. And I disagree with that. I think the Sharingan does provide you with a lot of benefits. It's very clearly an extremely useful technique or attribute or both, but it does not somehow magically make everything else you do unquantifiably better. In the manga, it's all due to Sasuke taking chakra from the Biju into Susanoo. Okay, cool. That I'm curious then, like, why he... Meh. I was gonna, like, speculate as to why he happens to call it Indra's arrow, but I mean, like, characters just, like, come up with names for jutsu. It's not that big of a deal. Like, I don't need to fucking overanalyze that, so... I think you... Shinigami, I think we talked about Person of Interest previously. The Sharingan doesn't... The Raikiri is just a speed amp. I don't think it's a speed amp in the way that people think sometimes. I think that the Raikiri as a jutsu consists of two parts. I know I said this a million times before, so I'll keep it short. But basically, like, there is the act of putting chakra on your hand, so to speak, and applying shape transformation and nature transformation to it, and basically making the Chidori happen. But then there is also you sprinting forward and thrusting your arm forward as well, and going as fast as you possibly can. And so, in order to deliver the Raikiri, which is a very quick, very obvious like forward thrust, your body needs to be moving very, very quickly because it's such an obvious attack that otherwise like your opponents will be able to dodge it. And you kind of need to have the Sharingan on because you're going to get tunnel vision if you are like dashing in that way, in that super obvious way. So if your opponent tries to counter or get out of the way, you need to be able to react to that, and you need to be able to adjust course, and you can't really do that if you're just like sprinting forward as fast as possible with the Sharingan on, or without the Sharingan on. So it's not that like just having the Raikiri active would then, if you decide to just like jump up in the air or jump backwards or like do a flip or a somersault or whatever, that they would make all of those things faster. It's that like just because you have lightning on your hand, it somehow makes all your other body parts move faster. The Raikage's lightning cloak seems to have that effect, right? Because she says that it like speeds up his nerve transmission or something like that. So there are probably jutsu out there that do have that effect. Soldier Pill's probably another example. Gate's another example. But as for the Raikiri itself, no, I don't think it gives you an overall stat boost. I think that the thrust part of the attack is just you moving as fast as you can in a straight line. And that's where the confusion kind of comes from. Let's see. Slamiro says, I don't think it was named by Sasuke. Okay, check T. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I feel like I saw that, but I appreciate you double checking for sure. Shinigami says, for my drawing, I want to know if you got insight about the character after some time. Yeah, I actually answered the question earlier in the stream. If you want me to repeat it, I can do that via Discord, but also feel free to jump back. It was right before you said you were going to go watch something with your mom, so yeah, let me know what you think. Spicy Boy says, there's a statement in some guide / book, can't remember which, and it says that when a shinobi's Kekkei Genkai fully awakens, you get a one-time buff to your base stats, and its picture is like 3 Tomoe Sasuke. Oh, that would be cool, yeah. I mean, like, I don't think it's impossible or anything, right? Because Tobirama goes through that whole explanation about how, like, being in an emotional, like, an extreme emotional state causes a release of the specific chakra in the brain that then leads to the awakening of the Sharingan. So I have no problems with the idea that characters can have mental events or emotional events or just other transcendent events over the course of their lifetimes that cause them to grow up in more ways than one and ascend to almost like a mini Super Saiyan transformation where they just like enter a new tier of power very quickly. That makes sense. I think that's supported by the verse. Spicy Boy says, not what Six is talking about probably, but I remember it from a video back in the day. Yeah, if you can find that, that would be great. I'd love to see the source, but also like intuitively, I think that makes perfect sense. Yeah. Reaction speed is a stat. Reaction speed is a stat. Also, always the data book. Okay, that's worth checking. The Raikiri is a speed amp that causes tunnel vision. I think it's. I'll go back and double check because I keep going back and forth on this. I think there's like one particular phrase that could be interpreted that way, but if you put everything together, I think the picture that emerges is not quite that, if that makes any sense.
This is him. He reacts to Naruto. There was a punch. Naruto.
But like I'm totally willing to have that be like a subject of research, or even like we did a Raikiri stream. I think we did it about a year ago, and we were talking about Noodles' video about the Chidori versus the Raikiri or whatever. But yeah, if you guys want to do like a Raikiri stream or something, just overview all the data that we can on that, that'd be fun.
To react to that one.
Karian did mention Sasuke's chakra changing. Yeah, but was that, do you remember if that was because, I think she was saying that it was getting like colder and darker and denser, right? But that wasn't necessarily just because he had the Raikiri on and he was like getting a stats amp across the board or something, right? I think it was more about, it was just getting more and more intense. With his increasing hatred and stuff like that. Hey there, Walkie Talkie. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, hope you're having a good week. I mentioned a little while ago that my plan at the moment is, I think on Sunday, I should have time to prep for this, but on Sunday I'm gonna plan to talk about your debate with Sage, and just do like a reaction slash analysis to that on stream. If you would prefer that we do it on your podcast and have like a round table back and forth, whatever, that's totally fine too. Or if there's another video that you would rather that I respond to sooner or whatever, that would be fine as well. I think that debate in particular intersects with a lot of the stuff that I and also that we have talked about before, so that seemed like a good kind of natural starting point. But let me know what you think. For some reason, I'm really bad at like I'll get a notification in Discord and be like somebody has mentioned you, and then I'll go to click on that channel or whatever, and then not be able to find it. So if I miss a message from you, like don't hesitate to send me a PM. That fuck, I can't talk tonight. Send me a PM or anything like that. Happy to sync up. Works for you? Okay, great. Why not both? Yeah, yeah. So I mean, like that's another thing too, right? Like I could do the analysis on Sunday, and then we could meet up later in the week when you guys have your podcast or whatever, and you can let me know what you think of the analysis. I'm sure you'll have some things that you disagree with or that you would have follow up thoughts on. I'm more than happy to hear your feedback on that as well. Feedback on the feedback on the feedback. Let's see. Yes, there's a John who is mavening. Say what you will about Boruto, I personally enjoy it, but I did a good job explaining slash giving names of things. I like how it uses kinetic vision as a term for Sharingan reaction, plus Chidori explanation. Yeah, I mean, like, I have issues with Boruto, but I think that the series, for me, it's kind of like a bell curve, where the first 10 chapters or so I found extremely annoying, but then the Jigen arc was really, really good and really compelling for a lot of reasons, and it was definitely strong in a lot of ways, and it found its own identity. And then it just got really weird with the I don't really like or enjoy, and I'm not really excited about Jura and I'm forgetting all their names even now, like Hidari and like all of the Shinju characters. I do like the idea of a villain who's extremely powerful who could destroy the world at any time, and he just chooses to show up and read books and hang out. Like I do really like that. I do like I guess maybe this is so random, but like maybe playing Sonic the Hedgehog games as a kid, and then like Dr. Robotnik has to team up with you for the final missions to take down a common enemy or whatever. Like I really like the archetype of a villain joining the party even temporarily, or just like being cool and you getting a chance to just interact with them before you have to go at it again, you know. So that's cool, but I don't know. It's just there's a lot of like weird, uncomfortable, creepy stuff in it as well that I just don't personally enjoy. It doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel like Two Blue Vortex doesn't feel like Naruto anymore. It feels like a completely different thing, and that's fine. Like Naruto had 700 fucking chapters. You know, it had all the spin-offs and all the peripheral material that it had. It told its story, and I think that like at this point expecting TBV to continue to be Naruto or Naruto-esque is kind of missing the point, sort of, maybe. It's good, I think, that it's not just trying to recapture you know, the decades old series, and it's doing its own thing. I just don't personally like it, right? Like I like the manga Gantz. I actually just picked up the Gantz Omnibus #1. I randomly found it at a comic book store the other day, and I'm going to be reading it. But like if Naruto became Gantz halfway through, I would be a little disappointed because I'd be like, well, this is not really what I want to get out of this, right? I'll put my Gantz and my Berserk over here, and then I'll put my Naruto and my One Piece over there, and I'll go to each area when I want each different kind of thing, if that makes any sense. So I don't know, I have mixed feelings about it, but all this is just to say that like even though I have mixed feelings, even though there's some friction that I feel when reading the series, I also respect the world building. I respect the things that you're talking about like explaining how certain things work in terms of like their mechanics, their origins. And I do find the idea of like a traditional society that's based a bit more on like mysticism and traditional martial arts and stuff like that being kind of dragged kicking and screaming into an era of technological advancement, and what the implications of that are. And I think in a way we are experiencing something vaguely similar now, where obviously we're we are a post-technological society through and through in the West, if that's even a valid concept. But now we're on the cusp of another leap forward, and I don't know, it's bizarre. Like we're in a really interesting and frankly somewhat scary time right now with the advent of AI and with, oh, I don't know, fucking Elon Musk crashing a rocket into the moon and leaving a big ass crater. It's like the shit that shows up on my feed like used to be like, hey, check out this new Mario game. It's called Mario 64, and like, oh my god, you can go check out a new picture on your 56K modem that'll take you 20 minutes to download of this cool guy called Mario. And now it's like, oh yeah, we just fucking crashed just a shuttle into the moon at 5,600 kilometers an hour. Oh, also, there's this robotic dog that can climb up a sheer cliff face and like snipe mosquitoes with a laser on its back. Like it's just the shit has changed so much, so fast, so profoundly. You know. Anyway, we get back on topic here. Slimy said, Karian said that Sasuke's chakra got colder. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know if you guys have seen this. I think it was on like Daily Dose of Internet, but they have these little drones now that are able to be released into the atmosphere, not the atmosphere, just like into the air, right? And they can detect and target and kill mosquitoes with pinpoint accuracy. And the idea is that they want to deploy these in droves, like in swarms, to hunt down and eradicate every single last mosquito on Earth, which is potentially really cool because mosquitoes are, rampant spreaders of horrible, awful diseases. This could save millions and millions of lives. And also, think about the implications of, people just like in tech labs, like just tech innovators, people who are experimenting with robots for fun and profit, just being able to create swarms of drones that have like the ability to just like snipe things like that automatically, autonomously. It's fascinating and extremely exciting and also really terrifying, right? When you think about the implications of that. Shinigami says, thanks for the comments. Yeah, no worries, dude. Keep up the good work. Shinigami says, I didn't expect Lucy from Cyberpunk, but Tsunade is a massive W because she was the type of woman I was aiming for. Yeah, I definitely got that vibe, so that's cool. I found that chapter 240 talks about the Chidori speed amp. Okay, yeah, let's take a quick look then. Okay, where are we? 240. Yeah, I think this is familiar, so let's see. Okay, so let's see what happens. So Kakashi takes out the Chidori, activates it, Minato says go, and he dashes forward. Never thought he'd charge straight in, okay? So he does, right, okay, so he throws a kunai from presumably the blind spot, or from an area anyway that Kakashi's not looking, and at first I thought that Kakashi was deflecting these, but actually Minato was the one who saw these coming. It seems like Kakashi didn't see them coming, and then he deflects them, right? Although Kakashi doesn't have the Sharingan active right now. He looks like, because Obito's still alive, right? Yeah. So deflects all of them. He pinpointed their locations. Okay. Minato does this, and is this Kakashi going up? I'm not exactly sure what's happening here. Is he signaling to Kakashi to jump up through the mushroom? Looks like it. But anyway, Shadow Doppelganger. So yeah, he's just kind of, oh, don't let your guard down. Yeah, it looks like he's not just going in a straight line, right? He's gotten 17 of them so far. But as he's dashing forward, this guy is able to react to him and counterattack. But Minato saves him at the last minute and prevents him from dying, presumably. But he obviously still gets wounded. Okay, barely managed to counterattack the back. So he was able to actually mount a counterattack. Okay, Flash of Konoha. Gets healed. Let's see. Dust in my eye. Okay. Okay. You shouldn't use it anymore. From what I saw, it's a strike with a single focus. It certainly has speed and destructive power, but it makes you move too fast to ascertain the opponent's counterattack. It's still imperfect. Yeah, so I definitely get how people look at this or like the Raikiri itself makes you faster. And this is where it gets into a little bit of a semantic thing. I'll try to repeat what I said before, but I'll try to rephrase it to not be like doing it ad nauseum, so to speak. But like basically, I think it's reasonable to look at this and be like, okay, the Raikiri makes you faster. Because he is saying it is a jutsu, and the jutsu itself makes you move too fast. But what does that mean exactly? Right? And this is where I want to just be clear with my language and as specific as I can. It doesn't mean that it, like, if Kakashi took Raikiri and put it on his left hand and then held his left hand up in the sky, up like above his head, or like put his palm on the back of his head, right, with the Raikiri active, and then he didn't use it to thrust forward or stab or fight with, right? He just had it on, he turned it on, and then he started fighting like normally, like jumping back and forth, like throwing kunai, like doing other stuff with his other three limbs. Would those other three limbs and would his body overall, would his reaction times, would everything else about him be faster because he had the lightning activated on one of his hands? No, I don't think so. No, I don't think that's what's being said here. I think that's what's being said is that the Raikiri, like, once he has the Raikiri active on his palm, he is then going to sprint towards his target, and the jutsu itself includes both the transformation and the sprinting. And that sprinting part, the direct thrust, the spear aspect of the attack, is specifically what makes him vulnerable. It's the charging and dashing forward directly towards his target. That's what makes him open to a counterattack, which is kind of silly if you think about it, because if it were fast enough, then the counterattack almost wouldn't matter, right? So, like, if Kakashi could do a Raikiri at the speed of light, and his opponent's reaction speeds were capped at sound speed, then it wouldn't matter if there would be no such thing as the jutsu being too fast, I don't think, because he would just be speed blitzing his opponent by definition. So, basically, I think that this is kind of like equivalent to if you have a spear, right? And you decide to dash directly at somebody and stab them with the spear, and they see you coming. If you are not fast enough to get to them before they can react to you, then they have a chance to parry or to dodge, in which case you will be very vulnerable because you've now just like committed yourself to this forward sprint and a forward thrust. You might even throw yourself off balance. So it only works if you're able to outspeed them, and if not, you'll be very vulnerable. But if you can somehow predict what that counterattack, what the dodge, what the deflection is going to be, like with the Sharingan, and then adjust accordingly, then you can account for that one weakness. But just having a spear in your hand doesn't make you faster. If you have a spear in your hand and you decide to sprint as fast as you possibly can, it's not going to make you move any faster. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. Let's see. Type of woman got more, but they were close to Tsunade. One smart says Jura, Hidari, Matsuri, Mamushi, and Ryu. Oh, yeah. Okay. For some reason, I was just totally blanking on those names, so I appreciate you reminding me there. Jura is reverse Sauron from Marvel. I don't want to destroy the world. I just want to read books. Yeah, I do actually like that. It is an interesting... I mean, the premise of those characters is interesting. Like, we've already had the I want to, control the world and focus all the pain on me and basically, like, free humanity and blah, blah, blah. Now we actually have some fucking villains, which is nice. But the villains themselves are not motivated just by pain and destruction and suffering and world domination. They actually are more curious. They're more inhuman. And, like, Boruto as a series is exploring the idea of things that are not human interacting with humanity and studying and reacting to humanity and having humanity affect them and vice versa. And that's an interesting premise. So I think it does interesting things, but I think I would probably like it more if it broke off completely. Like Silent Hill Shattered Memories, I think is a really good game. It is a very solid, 7 to 8 out of 10 game in and of itself. I think the fact that it is a retelling of a Silent Hill story detracts from it and makes me more inclined to put it at a 6 or a 7. If you had just called that game like Shattered Memories and taken the Silent Hill out of the title, I would have been like, dude, this is an awesome, cool, brand new horror game from this new developer. But because now it's like, okay, well, I expect it to have a certain language and function a certain way because it's part of this legacy, then I think I'm, in a way, maybe unfairly harsh to it. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah. Might just be your artist side, says Shinigami, but what made you choose Tsunade? Was it just off the top of your head? Yeah, something about the overall build and stance, and I don't know, yeah, I think that's the only way to put it. Like, she has a powerful build and imposing stature, but also has like an element of seductiveness, I guess, is one way to put it. Poor mosquitoes. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't relish the idea of slaughtering, like, basically committing like insect genocide, or slaughtering any creature at all, right? But if you gave me the calculus, if you gave me the pros and cons, being like, okay, if we destroy every single mosquito, then this will eliminate malaria, and then list a bunch of other diseases that could be transmitted via mosquitoes, I'd have to consider it, right? If I were like the leader of a nation, I had that proposed to me. That being said, I don't know what the implications would be for the rest of the food chain, right? So I think also sometimes we as human beings can be a little too trigger happy with solutions to problems that unfortunately cause other problems down the road. But the idea of maybe being able to eliminate once and for all, like, all these awful diseases, that it's definitely worth fucking pursuing. I think it's just like, I don't know. I don't want to get on a whole rant about this. I think we are on the cusp of some truly amazing revolutionary technology, and I don't think we're ready for it at all. And I think it's going to be abused, and I am very scared to see what will happen when that is the case. And hopefully, I am just being paranoid, and history will prove me wrong. But yeah, decent deduction feat, but not exactly impressive for what Minato is glazed for in universe. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you're referring to there. One Smart says, the mosquitoes targeting sounds too good to be true. Those drones are going to show up at a protest. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? Is it like, now that that technology exists and is out there, I mean, like, I don't want to get on a whole big thing, but like, you know, those cameras that, I forget what they're called, but they're cameras that are all over the place. Yeah, like Nest cameras, right? That are on people's, or Ring cameras that are on people's front doors. They have used those to help track down missing pets, right? Like, they have been able to pull the network of local Nest cameras to track where a pet ran away from home and then find it and bring it back. And that is fucking amazing. And it almost brings a tear to my eye, legitimately, no sarcasm. And that's great. And then also, I have seen instances where it's been used for way worse shit. And we're gonna need to figure out how to manage that and not let it get out of control. Okay. Spicy Boy says that is like a real whole separate topic, so I won't say a lot, but I think it's more of a move that does increase speed, but after you do the running start, because of wording and because of other moments, it could be, yeah. So I'm not going to draw like a line in the sand about this and say like, oh no, it's definitely this or that. I think that my objection is to that. My objection is to people saying, I think there's a tendency sometimes in the community to look for things like this and be like, see, this is all I need to prove, and it's verbatim stated, and yada yada, and then like make arguments that have knock-on implications that I don't necessarily agree with, based on a very literal and very singular, like, cherry picking of this particular statement. So it might still be the case, despite my objection to that particular kind of argumentation. It might still be the case. As long as we're examining things in context and looking at it with nuance, then I have no argument with you, really, if that makes sense. Kakashi getting the Sharingan was what made the Jury perfect in chapter 244, so it needed the perception boost to work correctly. Yeah, absolutely. He couldn't like really complete it then, and he couldn't account for the drawback of it until then. Think Kakashi has better feats? Maybe. It could very well be the case. Spicy Boy says, if nothing else, but because I think it's silly to word it the way Minato and Mitsuki does, and how people react to it, like Naruto needing to throw himself with Rasengan to match Sasuke's Chidori speed. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, too, is that, like, Naruto... It's interesting to me that Naruto didn't consider trying to take advantage of... Well, I was going to say maybe he could have taken advantage of that weakness of the Chidori, like being such an obvious forward thrust. But I mean, at that point, Sasuke did have the Sharingan, so not like he couldn't adjust. Excuse me. Annihilate every mosquito. They're the most annoying and disease-carrying creatures on the entire planet. There might be a case for that too, yeah. The Chimera ants. Chimera ants. Can you remind me what Chimera ants do that's cool and unique? Because I know that name for some reason, but I can't remember specifically what you're referring to. Minato's intelligence. Talking about Minato's intelligence and his deduction of the Chidori. Thing is, that isn't that special, TBH, so it's standards. Okay. Oh, it's so standard. That's fair. That's fair. I'm not gonna... I don't know that I'm really qualified to argue about Minato's intelligence. I think that in the series, he's represented as being very intelligent in the lore, right? Like he graduated, or like he was admitted to the academy at age 4 or something like that, or maybe it was he graduated at age 4. He was just like, he got like the highest exam scores and shit like that. So he supposedly is some supreme genius, but I don't know, you know, I don't know that we really see that all that much in the series overall. I think we talked about this recently, like deducing Obito's jutsu, or like figuring out how that worked, and then coming to the conclusion that he was essentially Madara. And they're definitely intelligence feats that he has. I'm just not quite sure if he lives up to all the hype, so to speak. All right, let's continue with the debate.
And then when he sends the scan of Naruto and Sasuke rushing,
Chimera are from Hunter x Hunter. They eat different species to make their offspring gain their characteristics. They ate a lot of humans and then started being born with men. Ooh, interesting. Very, very cool.
If you notice, Naruto's shadow clone literally throws him at Sasuke, which makes him faster, because it wouldn't make any sense for Naruto to be just as fast as Sasuke with the Chidori when he was as fast as Sasuke earlier without the Chidori, and we know that the Chidori is a speed amp. And the next scan is just the same thing. And in the scan after that, that's the Phoenix Flower Jutsu. I don't know how he's ever going to scale the speed of that in comparison to Naruto. And if you look at the next page after that anyway, Sasuke jumps into the air and then knees Naruto in the face. Then for the last one, he already debunked himself on this one. This is Naruto responding to Curse Mark Sasuke while he himself has the QB cloak on, right? And he said that the Curse Mark amps you. So I mean that
I think part of the reason why they're disputing this is because, again, like the idea here is that the Sasuke that Six is representing is specifically like Final Valley end of part 1 Sasuke, right? So that would include his ability to use the curse mark. So that it makes sense that any of the feats being discussed from that part would be fair game, I guess. Yeah, Six and you making the same Chidori point. Yeah, so you guys might be onto something. I might be the pedantic outlier here. I'm totally happy to own that if that's the case. Slimy Rope says the Chimera Ant arc in Hunter x Hunter or Hunter x Hunter is about how the inhuman monsters and the human characters have inverse arcs where the monsters become more human, but the humans, there's a quote for it, "You know nothing of the bottomless pit of malice of the human heart." Oh, that is really cool, actually. I think that's next on my reading list after catching up with One Piece, I think.
That should be obvious why that doesn't mean that QB Naruto is relative to Sasuke. That's my response to all that.
All right, me Batman. I'm gonna mute you Six.
You got it.
All right, go for Batman.
Yeah, so all of that, it like had nothing fucking to do with what I was gonna fucking get at. And on top of it, then he also makes like a whole new claim.
I knew he was gonna
with
say
the
that.
fucking
I knew he was
Shidori being
gonna
a
say
speed
that.
amp. That's a whole other separate thing. And
That's a whole
we
other separate
definitely
thing.
Get into that because the Shidori is either a very small speed amp or no speed amp at all. There's actually a tremendous amount of evidence to prove that. There's tons of feats and fucking statements and so on and so forth. But again, that is a whole other entire thing. The whole point of me sending all these scans before Six asked me to shut up because he was fighting a boss, okay? So I was never able to even give my arguments.
I will say again, like, not that I'm choosing sides or anything like that, but it is weird. It is weird that well, no, fuck. If I didn't know anything about the background here, then I would say that it is kind of bad form. It's improper. It's improper debate etiquette to tell your opponent to shut up because you're fighting a boss. I mean, like, honestly, I do feel like you should just do one thing at a time, personally. Also, I get it. Oh yeah, Bleach is on the list too, and Death Note. I actually, I have watched the full series of Death Note. I just haven't read, the manga itself. Base Sasuke was stronger in the final valley due to Sasuke just dying just that one time. Yeah, we just need you to die once, sir. Just the once.
Okay, the whole reason am I sending this because everything we were talking about beforehand, because he asked me to
So
actually
so what he was
provide
saying
these statements,
beforehand. Okay, so he did say
was that
beforehand.
there
He
is
did have just
direct
conceded.
correlation
He did have
in
just
chain
conceded that.
scaling, and there is relativity between all of them, because he's saying there's a drastic gap between QB Naruto, base Sasuke, curse mark Sasuke, all this stuff, whatever.
For the record, I don't know if Six said that specifically. It would be enough to just raise the point that there is a difference in those transformations, rather than to have to establish how great the gap is for the purpose of establishing that Batman would need to fuck. It's like it's a burden of proof thing, right? It's like if Batman is going to talk about this particular character, this character has different transformations. Those transformations are to some extent definitively stronger, faster, etc., and that would need to be a variable. That would be a variable that would need to be taken into account. I think that's all you need to say. Give me an apple then. Actually, I'm kind of low-key getting back into eating apples on a daily basis, mostly because of my dog's favorite snack is an apple. So like I'll take one and then like chop it up, and then I'll have one and then use the other one as a treat for her while we do training and stuff. So I suppose I can set one aside for you as well. Spicy Boy says, I think it's undeniable that Raikiri is over the Chidori, given that Raikiri has shape change honed to its limit and is an S rank plus has the same chakra cost, so it's better bang for your buck. I suppose so, but I think in the first data book it says that the Chidori and the Raikiri are literally the same jutsu, that Kakashi just calls it Raikiri, like he got that nickname, but it's this because he supposedly cut the lightning bolt, but it is literally the same jutsu. I think that semantically speaking, the actual like technique or hand signs or process for making them are literally identical. So if you have if you have 10 random shinobi, right, and 5 of them perform the Raikiri, and then 5 of them perform the Chidori, and they all have equal stats, then all of those jutsu will be identical in output. But once you get into Kakashi as a character and Sasuke as a character, like Kakashi can do things like his Chidori cable, that Sasuke can't do, as far as I know. Or he probably could do it, but he doesn't. We don't see him do it, right? Sasuke can like run the Chidori through his body. He can do the Chidori Senbon, right? He can amplify, or like he can run the Chidori through the fucking Kusanagi, right? So again, like those are things that potentially Kakashi could do, but Kakashi seems to still rely on it primarily as like this thrusty, stabby, kind of sprinty specialist jutsu. Whereas I think the analogy that I tried to use before was that like Sasuke kind of treats him almost like a weapons platform. Like, you know how you can buy a base AR-15 or whatever, or like in Call of Duty you can pick up a base weapon, right? But then you can modify it in all kinds of different ways. You can give it a different scope, you can give it an underslung shotgun or grenade launcher, etc. You can give it a larger magazine, etc. So you can take 2 AR-15s and then look at them and have them be vastly different, even though they are the same exact weapon. So on one hand, I think that they are literally the same jutsu, and on the other hand, I think you can argue that they can be further specialized and drilled down, such that if you want to just say Raikiri is specifically what Kakashi can do with the jutsu, and then the Chidori is specifically what Sasuke can do with it, then that can help you differentiate between those two characters, if that makes sense. Slimy Europe says, also, I think that I really enjoy about Hunter x Hunter is that the power system doesn't outrank everything. Tech still just wins. That'd be cool to see, yeah, for sure. Apples in the human are, what's the word? Oh, yeah, I remember that. Juicy. The Raikiri is a higher rank. I think the Raikiri is a higher rank in Databook 1 because it's referring to Kakashi's use of it. Because the user of the Chidori is Sasuke, right? I guess we can take a look one sec. So, Jutsu files. Let's just see what it has to say. Okay. So, Chidori, user, Sasuke. When Kakashi uses it, Chidori is known as Raikiri. Okay. Okay, this just kind of describes how it works in general. Raikiri, S rank. Let's see. Kashi's single original technique. This is Raikiri. Guy says the true nature of the technique is a regular stab, but the amazing time when you see the student montages get it in hand. Game display that can pierce through anything. Really simple technique perfected by honing it to the limit. Predicts a hopeless future. Cut lightning, the legend. Yeah, okay, so this doesn't say that it is literally the same thing, but I think this statement, Chidori is known as Raikiri when Kakashi uses it, means that it's the same jutsu, if I remember correctly. But anyway, I don't want to start a whole thing about this specifically. I can look into it more. Doesn't Guy specifically say it's the same jutsu as well when Sasuke first uses it? I don't know. I need to go research this more. Sorry. It's easier to avoid stumbling. I'm fine if you want to shorten it to Spicy when you read out my points. I appreciate you have to be reading a lot. Oh yeah, no worries. I might do that actually, Spicy. I appreciate that. I think it's sometimes like I'm reading ahead and I'll be like, so using what you just said as an example, I will be reading ahead to stumbling, and then my mouth is still on if it's easier. So I'll be like, if it's you stumbling, fine. It's sorting my points. Appreciate the reading a lot, right? Like, so I just start to like mangle and mash the words together. I just need to take a deep breath and do one thing at a time, which is not my strong suit. Shiniga says, I wonder if you'll enjoy my power system. My fights involve basically a mixture of standard battle shonen tropes you would see mixed with intelligence. Yeah, I mean, you have a real knack for discussing and evaluating intelligence, so I think it makes sense that you would incorporate that into your power system. I'd be curious to learn more at some point. Basically, Bleach and or YYH had a family with Death Note. Oh yeah, another JoJo's reference, of course. Everything is a JoJo's reference. You know this. Slime Europe says, wow, Kakashi, how come your jutsu gets 2 spots in the data book? It's just that cool. It's just got that much swag and lore behind it.
When there's actually not. And when you analyze the feats, they're able to physically respond to each other the entire fucking time. When they're base to base, when it's base Naruto against Sharingan 2 Tomo Shidori Sasuke, okay, and also...
Oh, you found chapter 114. Okay, let's take a look at it since we're on the subject. I appreciate you finding it. Thank you. I'm happy to go over it. I admit I was getting lazy to actually go and find it. Oh yeah, so Chidori, also known as Raikiri Lightning Blade, right? It's a nickname because Kakashi once sliced through lightning using this jutsu. Its formal jutsu name is Chidori, and its secrets lie in the almost impossible speed of its stroke and the immense chakra focus in the arm. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I appreciate that. I think that's useful context. Thank you.
When it's also curse mark Sasuke, Naruto can still respond to his attacks, and so on and so forth, okay? And then when he's in the QB thing, he responds as well. The whole point being said is, there is blatant relativity. And if there is relativity, okay, this correlates to the whole Neji thing and whatnot, because if these forms are relative to base Naruto, and with everything we talked about before, we're knowing that Neji...
I think he's trying to say that, like, KCM is basically relative to base Naruto, which is a wild take in my opinion.
...was superior, okay, to base Naruto and Sasuke and all that, and whatnot. And
no hit, chat. No hit. No hit. Y'all love that.
Okay,
y'all love that.
Fucking, so that was already over with. Then therefore, this would all connect. So,
oh my god, that was sexy.
Just like he did with each fucking scan. The first scan is literally Naruto using Shadow Clone Jutsu, then doing a Taijutsu fucking like monkey bar fucking weird ass like attack. And so there's like, Sasuke has plenty of time to respond and react to this attack, but he couldn't and gets fucking hit in the face. The next one, they fucking charge at each other, okay? And I don't even have to get into the Sharingan thing because literally Sasuke turns on his Sharingan, activates his Chidori at the top of the waterfall, starts running down the waterfall, okay? And all Naruto does, he has time to do a Shadow Clone.
In the wise words of Birdie from Conqueror, it's context sensitive, it's sensitive for the context. Yes. Just like the, I feel like the green button in Zelda helped shape the minds of a lot of people. I know that sounds silly, but the idea of there being a context-sensitive button, I think, introduced a lot of kids to the concept of something having multiple functions that would shift based on the context, and that concept is something that can be kind of counterintuitive. but I think it's become more intuitive over time with its inclusion in things like that.
Spin himself around to build momentum, okay? Like, this motherfucker...
I do think that Batman, he has a good ability to reach for plenty of sources and references and examples to support his case, but I do kind of agree with Six that he can ramble a bit, and going through his arguments over and over again, like the same way, and explaining like beat by beat by beat everything that happens in the fight might not be as productive as possible. Spicy says, can I ask, since we're still at the beginning of part two, could you quickly say how you feel about Six's previous pokes on the chain scaling, and if you think he broke the chain or not? I'm trying to remember. I think that if I'm recalling correctly, he identified some potential weak links in the chain. I don't know if he fully broke it, but I'm honestly not, like, it's been a couple weeks since I listened to those things, so if you wanna, do you happen to remember which one specifically? If you, yeah, excuse me, if you can refresh my memory, I'd be happy to address that. But I think he did a good enough job pointing out potential issues with Batman's positions that I think he earned the points in terms of, like, evaluating the argumentation. But I don't know that he, like, outright fully debunked them. I remember that first stream I was basically being like, so far I think Batman is doing a pretty good job. Six has pointed out some potential issues, but I'm overall leaning towards Batman. I think that's kind of where we left the first stream, if that makes sense. Shinigami says, my aim is to make fights where there is always a strategy or intelligence quirk, and it's used to build towards the big explosion punch. Yeah, I think that build up and pacing and, like, anticipation and then release of tension can be extremely effective. The Conqueror's Bad Fur Day, make a joke about it, and was a drunk scarecrow. Oh my god, Conqueror's Bad Fur Day, yes. I don't know if I could say I have fond memories of that game because it's so weird and far out, but, like, I really respect its existence. And it found me at a perfect, like, super edgy time in my life, so it's great. We got rule exploitation strategies within strategies, outsmarting to be outsmarted, and so on. So yes, Bleach plus Death Note type shit. Yeah, that sounds awesome. I hope you continue to develop it.
Spins himself around to build momentum. He just conceded Naruto was
faster. All that
faster.
shit while Sasuke is charging at him with a fucking Chidori. So if anything, it's even more impressive for fucking Naruto because he already had his fucking Chidori out. Naruto literally has to do a shadow clone, make the Rising Dawn, spin him in a circle, and then he starts running at Sasuke while Sasuke runs at him. Okay? So, like, if anything, this is very impressive and would definitely show that base Naruto scales to fucking two Tomo Sasuke in a Rising Dawn and Shidori fucking clash scenario. Okay? And also to give further context, where he's like, oh, it makes no sense for how Naruto can now respond to the Shidori.
He making no sense.
It actually makes perfect sense because, again, the Shidori isn't a fucking speed amp. Okay? And there's actually
he's repeating himself
where
again.
Sasuke says, damn, my Shidori at full power was not able to do anything and it resolved in a stalemate. I need to respond with fucking jutsu countermeasures to distract him, okay? And then activate Curse Mark and amp on top of it in order to land a successful Chidori so it doesn't end up in a draw again. You stupid, fat, fucking bitch, okay? So no, that does not indicate of why, oh, it wouldn't make sense. It actually makes plenty of sense. If anything, it shows the contrary, that the Chidori amp is either no amp at all or it's very fucking small speed amp, okay? But again, if you want to get into the whole Chidori thing, I'd be gladly able to do that because there is a million fucking ways I can show tons of feats, okay, of the Chidori fucking not changing anything, where they're using their normal physical speed, then they do their Chidori, okay? And nothing fucking changes. I can show tons of feats where Sasuke has to create diversions to land a Chidori. I can show tons of feats where Kakashi has to do diversions to land a Chidori, okay? And so on and so forth. And use Jutsu to create the opening, okay? If Chidori was a massive speed amp, then Sasuke would...
I do wish that there was some way to kind of get around, like, so you know me, that I will talk, like, you ask me one question, I'll still be talking about it half an hour later. Like, if nobody interrupts me, I'll just keep talking and talking and talking. I think for the purposes of a debate, it would make sense to try to have some kind of way around this, because it's a delicate balance, right? Like, you want to make sure you get your opponent or just like your partner in a debate. You want to make sure they have all the information available so that they understand what you're saying. But also, it's so easy to get caught in this loop and just, like, not make any progress. I don't know. I don't know if it would be appropriate to just, like, interject, because that seems to just be pissing people off, or have a moderator step in. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is, but it definitely feels like not ideal. Let's see. Spicy says, so the change this is important. I believe it when Neji is over Kimi relative to Lee over Sasuke's Naruto. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, because of Neji being Lee's superior and Kimimaro did worse against Lee and no diff Naruto. Yeah, I think that's correct. And then there was also that point about like Lee going into the third gate and that being over Neji specifically, right? Slimy says, check it out. It's also big brain rule bending stuff. Just the original user had the rule, the ability, not allow this, but I can loophole this to work. Are you talking about Hunter x Hunter again? Onyx Chidori. Onyx Chidori, I'm not familiar with that. Or is that from Boruto? Oh wait, no, that's the one where it like yeah, I know what you're talking about. Sorry, I just totally blanked there. But yeah. Hey, gotta continue Hunter x Hunter. It's cool. Vermilion Rasengan and Onyx Chidori should have made a comeback. Yeah, absolutely. I'm reading Tomodachi Game, Liar Game, Usogi, Hannibal's cool. Yeah, I really liked Hannibal. Well, I haven't read it. I've seen the TV show though. Cool. Yeah, I hope you enjoy reading all those series. That sound like a lot of fun.
Would blatantly speed amp him, but instead he has to create those openings and then try to hit him with a point blank, and Naruto has to activate QB to respond to it. Okay, because at least point blank. Point being said is this all shows blatant relativity. He's just being fucking in denial about it. And all these scans show blatant contradiction to the Chidori even itself being a speed amp. But again, I can even show further substantiation to shit on that garbage ass Chidori speed amp argument. You fucking suck. I'm done.
All right. So unmute you, Six. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so you know at the beginning what Batman said, he literally said that he was sending this for something he said earlier. That's on recording. Anyone can go back and check that. So he was literally lying. He had already said what he's...
I don't think he was lying. I think it's just like... It's confusing because he was talking to D1 and then like they started talking about one thing and then it got confused. So no, I don't think he was lying specifically. I think it's just like they talked around each other and got confused.
He said for these scans. In these scans, saying that Naruto and Sasuke are blatantly relative, again, not an argument. Saying that Naruto can respond with shadow clones while Sasuke is charging at him with Chidori. I guess this nigga doesn't know the speed formula, but it's distance over time. Sasuke has to cross a great distance to get to Naruto to summon the shadow clone. All Naruto has to do is cross his fucking his two fingers. Far less distance in a similar amount of time than Sasuke. It literally does not make them relative whatsoever. And in these other scans, yes, Sasuke does say that it ended in a stalemate. You agreed that Naruto was building up momentum with the shadow clone. You said that yourself, so I don't even really need to respond any further than that. Naruto was blatantly faster. For the Chidori being a speed amp point, I'll literally just get the scan for this. There's no point in even arguing about this like far at all. It's literally stated to be a speed amp in Boruto by Hidari, saying that he can't control it because he doesn't have the eye for it. And then Minato just says a similar thing. It's like the move just makes you too fast. I'll send those scans now. Give me 1 second.
Okay, can I respond?
I appreciate that he's looking for the scans. I do feel like it's almost like maybe this is just me losing track after a while, but I am starting to feel like they're not really spending any time for the most part talking about how Sasuke and Neji are actually going to interact with one another. You know, like, just talk to me about Neji using the trigrams or whatever to block off Sasuke's chakra points. Talk to me about, like, Sasuke maybe using some kind of genjutsu, if he even has access to it. How he's going to use his intelligence, how he's going to use deception, like, how he's going to use his shuriken and kunai and stuff like that. And none of those are going to be able to get through. The rotation, talk about the rotation, right? Like, they're just talking about scaling these other characters and disputing that chain. Like, granted, they are talking about Sasuke here specifically, but against Naruto, as opposed to, like, I want to hear them talk about the clashing between the two characters that are the subject of the debate. So many times in these debates that they just, like, sidebar about things that are part of a chain that is relevant, but not directly the characters themselves, right? Let's see. Spicy says, I hope in the future we have more decorum in the debates. I'm not being snobby. I'm saying it because it's hard to follow when half of it is a grudge match. Yeah, 100%, 100%. Look, I don't want to police the way that people have fun to a certain extent. I know that I am much more boring in what I like. Like, my favorite Naruto debate is still Noodles versus Weeaboo Warrior. and they basically didn't get heated the entire time. They basically just talked for 4 hours, and it was great. It's my favorite thing. But some people prefer like listening to D1's debates because they like the action, they like the heat, the whatever you want to call it, right? They like the drama of it all. So I'm past the point where I want to tell people how to enjoy their fun. I do think I'm well within my rights and will continue to say you should not be screaming SA threats at people when you're in a debate with them. You know, you should not be lying to them or gaslighting them or talking about threatening them with physical violence. There's certain lines that you shouldn't cross. And we should all be have enough common sense and common courtesy to not do that shit. But that being said, some people prefer the drama, and it's not my place to say you can't have more of a spar, of a not a spar, you know, like more of a hostile thing if that's what the crowd wants. But some sort of rules, like even like, I don't know, the even in the WWE, right, where you have things that are scripted and you have like characters who kind of come out and like go through their whole routine and stuff like that, you do eventually have moments for characters to breathe and for the drama to kind of take on a more natural course and not just get bogged down forever. Like, I don't know. Just imagine like you have two fighters and one of them hits the other one with a metal chair and then the other one hits the other one with a metal chair and then they both just like navigate to a corner, or like even better, just like slap each other, right? Like imagine your two favorite wrestlers are finally going at it, and right, and they just sort of like go off into a corner of the arena, and then one of them slaps the other in the face, the other one slaps the other one in the face, and they just like sit there in the corner for an hour just going like fucking do the sound effects like you just hear that for like an hour, and it's like, come on, do something else, get back to the fight. So let's see. Slimy says it's not set up for the fight that is on screen, it's background stuff as well as you need to understand how skill. I think you're talking about Hunter x Hunter. Sorry, Spicy says, I don't think talking about Chidori yet is relevant, even though I believe it's a speed amp and it's important. We haven't done good enough comparing. Yeah, that's fair. And it's like, obviously it's one of Sasuke's iconic abilities, so it's something that is worth discussing, but it's like 2 hours or so into the debate, it's like they should be talking more about how the primary characters interact, in my opinion. To be fair, Swag versus Noodles round 2 would have been half of the debate. It is without them being funny and trashing in between. That is true. I mean, like, Noodles showing up in a literal clown paint, right? It's like kind of iconic in its own way. Yeah, sorry, I have no idea how that actually sounds on the microphone. I'm gonna listen to it back later. Maybe it just sounds like really weird. Maybe because, so I'm trying to clap quietly and away from the microphone so it doesn't spike. So you're probably hearing the reflections off the walls and stuff like that too.
No.
Oh,
Yes.
you're setting scans for a whole other thing for Shidori being.
Yeah, this is all part of my response. No.
Also, I am going to now I am going to make fun of Batman's pronunciation. Ha ha ha. It is silly that Batman says Rising Gun. It is silly that he says Shidori. Now I'm done.
No, you can respond.
It is very, very silly. Also, I don't want to be too petty.
Afterwards. You can respond after I'm done.
No, you made points.
You can respond after I'm done. We've been doing this the whole time.
Sounds like I'm doing porno Foley. This is not my intention, Shinigami.
Dumb
so
man.
we could get judgment on that right real fucking quick. He just made a fuck ton of fucking claims trying to like respond to what I just said. I want to at least respond to that, and then before they allow me to get into the Shidori shit.
All right, let him get the scans first because it stays a part of his go. To be fair, you did talk longer than him so far, so I'm not gonna let him go longer than what you did though. So I'm gonna just allow him to get the scans first, and then yeah, you can go.
That's fine.
Here's the example of saying that the Chidori is hard to control without the Sharingan. And then there's a Minato scan where Minato just talking about like it makes you too fast, like the jutsu itself speeds you up. There's another one from Boruto too. I'll actually get.
Yeah, at least Six is getting the scans. I shouldn't even say at least. Like he's doing the work to get the references.
Get that too. Why not have all the evidence?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's see.
I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit while he's looking for stuff.
That's another one. And then number 43, saying that Chidori is not a speed amp is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my fucking life.
Sorry, I'm gonna say it. It might sound dumb, but I'm not 100% convinced that it is.
And even if it's not, like I already proved that Naruto would have got faster through the momentum thing. Just saying.
Oh yeah, I'd like for what it's worth, like not to have a weird parasocial chat with Six here, but like yeah, I think Naruto does this more than once. Like he does it during the pain fight too, where he will grab himself with his clones and then use them to build up momentum to then fling himself forward. Which I think was more relevant in the swag debate versus Noodles, where they were talking about like the throwing speed of a character's throwing speed scaling to their like jutsu launching speed versus their fucking like running speed or whatever else. Like yeah, but still, I think it's worth noting that at the end of the pain fight, for example, when Naruto has an extremely short window of time to get to pain and he needs to get to him before he can fire off that last Shinra Tensei, rather than just sprinting himself, he chooses to have his clones throw him. That to me indicates that, like, at least in that instance, there's an example of throwing speed exceeding running speed, right? Like, Naruto, okay, it's using multiple clones to throw him as opposed to just one, but still, right? His mass is also probably greater than that of the Rasen Shuriken, etc., etc. We could debate this back and forth, I know, but the point there is that Naruto using his clones to throw himself forward, to build momentum is a trend, right? Noodle's about to scale how fast he can ride Kakasu. Yeah,
I think these scans will more than prove it. Let's see.
I think he was in the chat for this.
Here it is. Yep. It's so
some
fast,
point.
it's hard to be accurate with. So there's all the scans that prove Chidori is a speed amp. I'm pretty much done. I don't think I have to respond to
Oh yeah,
anything else he
there's
said.
me in Six's chat complaining about the speed amp thing.
All right, Batman, you can go now.
Okay, so the reason why I want to respond is because before we get to the Shidori thing, he was bringing up that whole momentum claim bullshit and blah, blah, blah. Again, if you paid close attention, no, that's more impressive on Naruto because, again, Sasuke channels the Shidori. He already has it activated, right? And for what's in question of now being glorified, this magical fucking tooth fairy fucking crazy ass speed amp or a non existent fucking speed amp, he's then going down the waterfall, running at full speed. Naruto has to literally look at him, create the hand sign to make a shadow clone, channel his chakra, okay? Then he grabs, the clone grabs him, twirls him around, okay? Which takes time, remind you. So again, this would blatantly contradict the Shidori because if it is a drastic fucking speed or like a speed whatever, everything you're fucking getting at, then all Sasuke had to do is he'll just run straight fucking down and just bam, pierce him before he can even fucking respond with the Rising Gun. Okay? So no, like he does all of that, so he has plenty of time to respawn. Okay, Naruto spins him around, launches him, and because of that momentum, okay, now he's able to hit with even more force on top of the Rising Gun's AP and so on and so forth. Because if you know, just like you said, with physics, blah, blah, and, you know, building up force, that's going to create even more force to combat, okay? Naruto's just making sure that he doesn't lose this exchange at all fucking cost, okay? He was doing that little spin momentum just to build up more power for the exchange. It's nothing to fucking do where he needs speed or whatever and all this weird bullshit that you're fucking saying. And it's even more impressive to Naruto because, mind you, this Sasuke...
I'll be honest, I don't even really know what Batman is on at this point. Like he's just trying to emphasize that Sasuke. That I don't know. He just feels like he's just kind of looping. I don't know. Let's see. I think Spicy says I think we need one of them to hype up lightning style False Darkness as a palate cleanser to remove the tension, since everyone respects that as a good move. Yeah, and it's also a feat for Kakashi, right? Because he jumps across the from the other side of the arena to be able to intercept it and save Shikamaru and Choji. It would be cool if they kind of brought up more like lightning style feats in general.
Is at full power. Naruto is not. Naruto was fighting way before this, having multiple taijutsu exchanges, having to fight Bone Man and all that stuff, whatever, while Sasuke is at fucking full power. And that's also confirmed because when he says he has to use his Chidori, he can't use another one. And we know it's stated the entire time in the fucking...
I think that it's fair to bring up that Naruto might not have been at full power because of his previous... he did just make a shitload of shadow clones.
Naruto show that he can only do 2 Shidoris, okay? Because once he does 2 Shidoris, his fucking chakra and his stamina is fucking depleted as shit. And Kakashi even compliments him and says, but you're remarkable because to do the Sharingan and Shidori is a crazy ass fucking stamina chakra feat, okay? So, again, he's at full power because if he wasn't, he wouldn't be able to do fucking 2 Shidoris. So,
but also Naruto relies on like Kurama's chakra, which I do think restores. Obviously not like his mental fatigue or whatever, but it does like it restores him to a certain extent, right? So that might be it doesn't bring him back to full, but he can rely on Kurama's chakra to give him a boost, which he does. Like he starts using Kurama's chakra pretty early on in that fight and then continues doing so for the rest of the fight. So even if his own like chakra pool is depleted, I don't think that would necessarily mean he was fatigued to the point of it overall having a negative effect on the fight, especially once he starts using Kurama's chakra.
regardless, Naruto is responding while nerfed, and on top of it, Sasuke has precognition, which is something also Six is not fucking speaking anything about, which gives Sasuke even more time to fucking respond accordingly and attack. And Naruto still forces a fucking clash with this Sasuke. Still forces it. Because the whole point of the Chidori, the whole point of the technique, is because it's extremely easy to counter the technique. It's actually stated. I'm going to show all the fucking scans of how the Chidori works, and how the Sharingan works, and how it all works as a whole, and why it's not actually a speed blitz, and it's a misconception, and it's a fucking retarded-ass claim created by people that thought they could fucking scale Naruto. You don't fucking know shit, okay, you bum-ass bitch, okay? So again...
Yeah, I'll just offer a blanket apology / disclaimer for the use of like ableist slurs and bodies shaming language and stuff like that. Like obviously I don't condone any of that, but I can't like filter it all out, unfortunately. Spicy Boy says we could also talk about how Sasuke has flight. Yeah. And Naruto has to like try to come up with his own well, they both have kind of unique movement verbs, meaning like unique forms of movement that they can engage in that gives them an advantage over the other that the other one has to then respond to, right? Pretty interesting how they both develop their own unique sorts of movement over the course of this fight. Right, Neji could literally do nothing about it. I don't think they ever get to it, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't think they talk much about the curse mark abilities for the most part, right?
Point being said is,
But like, Sasuke drawing on the power of the curse mark is what lets him use the third instance of the Chidori versus Gaara, if I remember correctly, too. So I imagine he'd be able to... Yeah, I wonder if you go through that whole Final Valley fight and count how many he uses. It's probably more than 3. But either way, he probably could do more than 3 if he starts in base and then works his way up to CS2, right?
I'm going to show all the feats, all the statements, the shit on this garbage, okay? And again, the cherry on top. The fact that Naruto was still able to create a stalemate situation without all the things I just said. Sasuke states verbatim.
No hit again.
He needs to create an opening and do a diversion. And then on top of it, activate Curse Mark, which is some level of arbitrary amp, okay? So think about it. If Sasuke is now needing to create diversions and use fire-style jutsu combos and whatnot, and amp himself on top of it, that just goes to show you that Naruto is most definitely, okay, most definitely more impressive in this scenario. It's that fucking simple in that the Chidori is not this crazy-ass fucking whatever weird-ass physical thing that he's talking about.
Oh, fuck off, Sway.
It's this exaggeration. It's blatant bullshit. It's literally debunked by feats and an abundance amount of statements. So that's the response I want to do. If he don't want to respond or whatever, that's fine, but I'm going to show all the scans to prove with Kid Kakashi, with fucking Sasuke, and them consistently being shown that the Chidori is not a massive or crazy fucking speed amp. And that, again, the whole point of what we're talking about here is that there's still relativity between these motherfuckers. That's the whole point. The whole fucking point. But yet Six is trying to say otherwise.
We cooling?
Yeah, I'm gonna get the scans for the Chidori speed amp point, if you want to respond to that.
Spicy Boy says he uses 3. I've noticed Sasuke actually does a good job in the series using the curse mark as an extra fuel source, like for Chidori, and to increase the power of fire style versus Itachi. That's relevant here. Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. Because he wouldn't want to like use it haphazardly as well. Like it is a resource that he should be using judiciously, and it seems like he's doing that in character. Slimy says, also Naruto need to be version 1 with one tail to draw with the Chidori, second state Chidori. Yeah. I mean, like, they keep like, one-upping each other. You know, this little arms race that they have going on.
Yeah. Okay, so, to be clear, because you didn't respond to the scans I sent, are you saying that the Chidori is a low speed amp or not a speed amp?
So I'm saying it's inconclusive, because with all the scans I'm about to send you, with the statements that are said verbatim by multiple characters, and with Sasuke himself explaining the technique on top of it, someone that uses the Chidori as well, okay? And on top of with the feats that we see to even substantiate even further, there is no way, okay, it is either a speed amp at all, or if it is extremely small. Because again, like you said before, it would make 0 sense for Naruto to be able to respond to it accordingly and so on and so forth. There wouldn't be relativity. Because that's what's been in question this whole time as well, is relativity. And there is blatant relativity, okay, with the statements and what happens within their exchange and their fight. And Sasuke flat out conceding he needs to create...
Okay, nigga, you don't have to repeat yourself again. Got it. I was just... That's a very simple question. The thing was, if you're saying it's just not a speed amp, again, I want to see the evidence that you're going to provide, but just saying that there's counter evidence doesn't doesn't refute the claim or the evidence or the interpretations of the scans that I sent.
You can think that. You can think that. It's at the end of the day, it's up to the judges, so it doesn't matter.
What do you mean it's up to the nigga? You have to argue. What?
I know that. I'm just saying. You just said like what you thought of the situation as a whole and what you claim. I'm like, and I said as a response, you can think that, but it doesn't matter what you say. It's up to the judges at the end of the fucking day.
That's me making an argument.
Okay, that's fine.
I think Six should lose points for having that fucking golden scarab talisman active
That's me making an
during the fucking boss fight. I think that just increases the number of runes you get.
That's fine. Anyways, let me get the scans real quick.
Okay, it's not gonna respond anyway.
Which I don't think you should need at this point, but well, I'll take that back. There's a case for it. There's a case for it. I'll take that back.
Most of that shit was completely irrelevant.
I'm gonna send the scans right now, and then after this, after we do the Shidori thing, the last thing basically that all I have to get into, and then it's basically a done deal, is the chakra control element, because chakra control has a big deal in Naruto, and the reason why I'm bringing up chakra control is because
Slimy Orb says, I don't think that it's that controversial to say that the final battle in Naruto in version 1 is stronger than Neji was in the arc. Yeah, I think it's worth, it's debatable, but so here's the thing. I think that Neji is overall stronger than Naruto when they fight, in base. But if Naruto were to, use Kurama's chakra more consistently over the course of that fight, then, well, I don't know. Yeah, I think we talked about this before, right? Like, if Neji were super duper bloodlusted and didn't stop to talk at all, I think he could have killed Naruto over the course of that fight, and he probably would have won. If Kurama decided that he didn't want to deal with that shit and like allowed Naruto to go into like KN0 or something, then that would have changed things. But without that, then Naruto would have died. So I don't know if Naruto in base, by the time that we're talking about the Neji who fights Kidomaru, if Naruto would be able to win in a straight up one-on-one against Neji under those same conditions. But if he, like, I don't know, summons Gamabunta and then goes into KN0, it's like, what the fuck is Neji gonna do, right? Like, I think that there are limits to what Neji can do, and those limits are entirely contingent upon how deep into his skill set Naruto actually goes versus just like direct clashing via Rasengan and clones. Like, does he even try to use the Rasengan on Neji over the course of their fight? I don't think he does he? Actually, we don't need to review the whole fight, but I'd be curious if anybody remembers that. Also, I wonder if the curse mark, says Slimy, would affect Sasuke's chakra network the same way as Kurama's chakra does for Naruto. I think it has a similar... Yeah, I think we talked about that before, about like if Neji manages to block off the Tenketsu so that Sasuke can't draw chakra anymore, if he then turns on the like one of his cursed states and then floods his chakra network with that cursed chakra, would he be able to kind of like reactivate his network similarly to how Naruto does? And I don't know, but I think it would definitely be an interesting... I wish that they had brought it up during the debate, because that would have been a really cool topic to dive into.
Because even though Naruto has crazy reserves of fucking chakra and power and whatnot, and same thing for Sasuke to a similar degree, along with having the curse mark, which gives even more fucking power and chakra or whatever, they should be some fucking demons, some monsters. But because their chakra control is shit, that's why when they do their next level forms, it makes them slightly stronger, but they're not crazy more powerful in comparison to their base forms and so on and so forth. And again, as long as I establish there's relativity between these forms and so on and so forth, that means that there's a direct correlation to Neji and all that. Neji would be blatantly above from what we talked beforehand.
I don't think you proved any relativity. I mean, the earlier...
Oh, we'll get there. I got you.
Well, yeah, I'm going to respond.
Sending the Shidori stuff, and then we'll do the chakra control shit too. And again, I'm also going to be setting...
I'm just going to respond to all the claims that you made so far.
The three things: the chakra control, the Shidori stuff that I'm literally sending right now with the scans to for the whole bullshit with the speed shit or whatever. Okay, and the third aspect is literally all their forms are able to physically respond to each other. All their forms in the Final Valley fight. Okay, it is like, are they like being more superior?
Dude, you said all this shit already.
All right, anyways, let me get these scans.
Yes, I know the stream is age restricted. I got the notification. Also, Batman, before I start responding, we've been going into this shit for 2.5 hours. So once we get done with this, can we just say, okay, if your scaling does not go through, I win, and we just basically debate over the Neji scaling?
what's it called? Either way, like I just want to show the Shidori scans.
Can you answer what
and
I'm
then
saying?
we can make it very quick on that.
So I thought that Six actually did put some positive scaling forward. Like maybe I was misrepresenting that or misremembering that.
And then I just wanted to bring up the physical exchanges within all their forms. And then if you don't want to engage the chakra control point because that is very relevant to it too, then that's fine too. But
Yeah, we'll talk about it. I'm saying if the shit you're saying doesn't go through, like I said, I'm pretty comfortable in saying that I beat all of this shit.
okay, yeah, you always say that. You did that with D1 and it wasn't the case either. You can
Oh,
be
okay,
consistent
okay,
with saying
cool,
that you got whatever.
cool. Can you answer
I'm
the
sending
fucking question?
I'm sending these Shidori questions. Not questions.
He just wants to know that if he has beaten you on any of these points, then basically he wins, and if not, then you just win automatically. So he doesn't have to do a whole
I don't think. Why
It doesn't matter if you think I beat you or not, dumbass. I'm saying if I did, are you fine with we just end the fucking debate? Holy.
Yeah, I think like so. My interpretation of this is that Six is just at the point where he doesn't even want to continue like doing his own positive scaling, and the debate is just going to they're going to shake hands on it and be like, okay, if Batman cleared the points that he made thus far, he wins, and if he didn't, then Six wins, which to me is not an ideal outcome, right? Because to me the ideal debate is like person A puts forward their scaling chain, person B disputes it, then puts forward their scaling chain, or maybe even at the start they both have like a quick intro where they lay out their whole arguments, because like so many times in these debates one person does all the scaling and the other person does all the disputing, and it's really cool if you have an opportunity to see both people's perspectives and positive arguments. Like you might be a defensive master, to kind of reference what Noodle said in his first debate with Swag, and be able to swat down the other like everything the other person said, but that doesn't mean that you yourself will be able to make effective arguments either. So I think that like being able to point out flaws in your opponent's arguments and to identify problems with them and to shoot them down effectively, obviously a skill, obviously something that needs to be brought to bear in a debate, but just doing that doesn't really win you a debate per se. But I understand Six is just like exasperated at this point, and he's trying to be like, okay, can we just give each other an out here, so that we don't have to like get too like we don't have to keep doing this because he's just tired. So like I think that's okay if both debaters agree to that. That's sort of what happened in the first Swag versus Noodles debate. So yeah, like I can sympathize. It's not an ideal outcome, but I can definitely sympathize. Spicy Boy says this was turning into Swag versus Noodles all over again for real. Yeah, absolutely. I'm getting very similar vibes. Oh, hey there again, Damien. Thanks for the Kabuto attack. Yeah, I hope I answered your question decently. I think it's an interesting. I definitely feel like you can call this a blind spot of mine. Like I don't always know. If people ask me like how fast do you think, I don't know, like Final Valley EMS Madara is, my best answer will be like, well, relative to Hashirama, how fast do you think he is relative to Madara, right? Like, which I know is kind of a cop out answer, but like I'm not as my approach doesn't use a numerical calc a lot of the times. I more just sort of like evaluate the narrative and the comparisons between characters as opposed to using calcs. So I'm sorry if that answer wound up not being super satisfactory, but I still do think it's something that you can use to establish relativity, for sure. And I'm of the belief that in general at a baseline, jutsu that are launched or thrown or that are projectile based generally scale above their users in speed, unless the users have an ability like like a supreme speed amp or something like that. We just don't really see instances of like a character throwing a kunai and then like out sprinting it, although I could definitely see that being a possibility. I could definitely see something happening like Minato teleporting and catching his own kunai, or even like somebody like the Raikage using a Shunshin body flicker in order to do that. It's possible. It's just not something that I think we really see all that often in the series. It seems to me more like one of the advantages of a projectile or launch jutsu is that it can exceed the user in speed. Let's see. Slimy Orb says, just check, Naruto didn't try to Rasengan against Neji, but seeing how Neji has a glass jaw, he might have just died if that happened. That might indeed be the case. Yeah, well, thank you for checking. I appreciate that. Spicy says, in general, I think calcs are more important and needed for crosswords. Not that they're not useful, but it comes up less. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. When you're talking about two very different verses with potentially completely different power systems, calcs are a great way, in theory, of trying to create a bridge between those two verses and trying to have a fair discussion despite the inherent differences in those power systems. It's like sort of a universal adapter, so to speak. I think at least in theory.
Holy shit, this nigga is slow.
I'm not slow. I just told you. What's it called?
I refuse to be fast.
I'm getting the fucking scans. That's all.
Question while you get that, have you played 9 Ring yet?
News,
Yeah, I love Nine.
the Johan nigga and the DXXD nigga, I'm still waiting for y'all to pull up. And y'all keep saying, drop
I'm
the
trying to figure
cool.
out if that's worth it.
Already dropped it, bro, multiple times.
Let's see. Spicy says Naruto learns a Sengan in search. Oh, yeah, of course. I'm sorry. Learns for it in search of Tsunade. He doesn't yet have it for the Neji fight. He's still Shadow Clone merchant. He wanted to learn it because he got jelly from Sasuke having Chidori. That's absolutely true. Sorry, I totally blanked on that.
Alright, 6, I was just trying to figure out if that shit's
Yeah,
worth
because otherwise he would have used it against Gaara, right? So
getting or not, because I've heard mixed reviews on it.
No, Night Ring is great. I mean, it's not as good as Elden Ring, but few games are.
I did drop it, bum. I'm gonna drop it again.
That's
Holy
a
shit.
no hit on the Elden Beast too.
let's skip ahead a little.
And a fight between Rodon and
I got y'all.
Beat.
Powerscaling, and I've heard a lot of people argue that those two together would be able to beat him. So
Keep going.
There. Judge, I'm gonna say this for y'all. I'm gonna say it when he gets
I
done,
am
but
here.
any-
All right, so I posted these scans right here.
Is this
Okay.
all you need to post? Can
the
I
first
begin
one,
responding?
He wants.
No more
don't interrupt me,
explanation.
or you-
No
or you-
more
mute him,
explanation.
mute him,
You've been
mute him,
talking for
mute him,
15 minutes.
Mute him. I posted my scans. I'm gonna now give the
Of
argument.
course, Ken
He
Rock can
posted all
mute you.
his scans for Shidori and explained it on. Now I'm responding to contradict and debunk that what
You
he's saying
already-
for Shidori
you-
is not the case. So I posted the
Oh,
scans.
fucking god.
Let me
D1,
talk. We're getting
come
muted.
on now. He's been talking for 15
No.
fucking minutes.
I was supposed to. Ken, was I not supposed to respond? What the
He was
fuck
trying
is
to
going
he
on?
was trying to get this, he was trying to get the scans.
Yeah.
Been
gonna
fucking
skip ahead.
and feats on top of it, okay? And Sasuke himself, since he wants to get Boruto involved, okay? And so on and so forth. Sasuke himself, the one that fucking uses the jutsu, the one that teaches Sadara, okay, explains how it works as well.
Sadara, ladies and gentlemen. Sadara. Everybody's favorite Two Blue Vortex character, Sadara. That is all.
Okay? He says the Shidori is a linear jutsu, okay, that gives you a high level of offensive power, but it can be easily countered, okay? So that means it's essential to use your Sharingan to judge and see through your opponent's attack, okay? So with that already being stated blatantly, okay, that just goes to show that the Shidori isn't like oriented on the speed emphasis or whatever, or that's so fucking massive or blah. If that
Oh yeah, Shinigami, go to sleep. Go to sleep. We love you hanging out, but also sleep is very important. Please do get some sleep. Slimy says, if you want, I can link the Hunter x Hunter. I appreciate the offer, but I think I'm gonna pass for now because I want to read it and go in totally blind. I've read the first couple chapters and I did enjoy it, so I think I want to go in blind. Thankfully, I still haven't had like pretty much anything in One Piece spoiled for me, and I'm really glad for that. So I think I'm gonna go in blind. Similarly to Hunter x Hunter. Same thing with Bleach. I don't know how I dodged spoilers this long, but yeah, I got lucky. Shinigami says the Six may be annoyed at Bats or just him not liking the pressure. No, Six I think is extremely upset with Batman overall. Like they do not get along from what I can tell. Slimy says when you want to name a girl engineer character, yes, Sadara.
that was the case, then Sasuke would be fucking speed blitzing. Like it'd be a similar situation of Lee using the first gate, and then he's able to speed blitz every fucking opponent he goes against, right?
You're
There's no-
repeating.
They're basically on the same point that they've been on for like at least half an hour, probably longer.
Yourself.
There's no relativity or fucking nothing, okay? So Sasuke himself is stating and explaining how it actually works, the Shidori, and that the Sharingan is what's needed in order for it to be executed and actually utilized, Okay, then we even have feats demonstrating this. When Kakashi tries to use it without the Sharingan against a ninja, okay, he literally gets injured because again, it's easy to fucking counter. He's over here claiming, oh, it's a massive speed amp or it's a speed amp and all this fucking shit, whatever.
Yeah, Shinigami, it does sound like he's kind of just done with it, which I guess I don't really blame him.
Okay, if that's the case, then why can people fucking easily counter it? No, it's just an offensive high power fucking jutsu, okay?
Can I
and
respond?
it can be easily fucking countered, okay? So that's the first thing. The next thing, okay, we see Kakashi and Obito fighting this fucking Jonin. They're having multiple physical exchanges, okay? What does Obito do to land an attack? He uses 2 Tomo precog Sharingan, sees the attack.
It's a Naruto throw. It scales to Naruto's throwing speed amp. Yep.
Creates the opening, and then Kakashi lands the Chidori. You don't see Kakashi doing Chidori and then fucking ramming it right through. No, he has to use precog in order to land for a hit to actually be successful. Okay, then you see another instance where Kid Kakashi had multiple exchanges with this guy without the Sharingan. Okay, then he has an exchange with the Sharingan physically against him. Then he does his Chidori on top of it, and the guy still is keeping up with him. But we all know the result. Kakashi kills him because of the precog, and he was able to land the hit and not get hit.
Dude,
and then even in the end,
shit.
Obito.
I mean, yeah, I don't really feel like Batman is really having a conversation here, right? Like he's just kind of running down his list of feats, which I get it. I get that, like, you want to make a case, you want to establish all the individual data points to support that case, but the whole like dialectic is kind of collapsed at this point, right? There isn't a conversation happening anymore.
This nigga's immune to being concise.
He said, Obito, you helped me perfect my fucking jutsu. Okay, then you have the next scan with Sasuke fighting fucking V1 Gaara, where he says, without this Sharingan, I would have already been dead. I can't even dodge without taking time to predict his moves, okay? So, again, the whole emphasis and whole point of this is it's the Sharingan in the precog that
you
even allows
said
the
that
Shidori
already.
remotely
Stop
to be
repeating
utilized, okay?
yourself.
And then you have the Rock Lee, where he even further reinforces it when they talk about it.
Judges, holy shit.
I understand if that had been me and I had launched a head-on full speed attack on my opponent like that, rather I could have, because a beeline attack is easy to counter and avoid. So now I've literally provided multiple times of consistency that's easy to counter and deal with it, and fucking that's it. And you need the fucking Sharingan in order to fucking use it. Sasuke explaining it, okay, he's credible, blah blah, whatever you name it, okay. And then we already talked about beforehand with Naruto, which again, that's why it's even more impressive for Naruto, because he has to do the Shadow Clone, spin, fucking launch a forward, okay.
You already said all it is.
His precog, and then beat his precog on top of it. So again, this is blatant evidence to show that the Chidori is not a fucking speed amp. If it was a speed amp, then he would blitz his fucking opponent.
I know I'm not saying a whole lot. I just don't really have anything, anything to add. It's just I kind of feel I have to check the time at some point, because it's like sometimes I think, wait, did we go back and skip back in time? Like we're still on this? I don't. There's no progress being made. Let's see. The energy was established to be deducting literally every detail. I'm not sure what you're referring to, but like, not to kick you out or anything, but Shinigami, but you should get some sleep if you're tired. The slimy orb says Chidori is, oh yeah, to be fair, Obito has Hashirama cells, so he's more perception than just Sharingan. Yeah, well, so actually I'm not 100% sure about that. Do you think it gives him like some kind of moderate access to Hashirama's sage mode style perception? Is that kind of what you're saying? I'm not sure about that, but I'd be curious if you have more thoughts you want to share. Your Honor, this is most unbased, Sego. Oh my god, the fact that he is just like casually beating Elden Ring in the background of all this actually kind of says a lot, doesn't it?
It's as simple as that, okay? Simple as fucking day. And there is also...
As simple as that. Why did it take 20 minutes to explain it? The energy goes like this. Okay, so this argument right here is a flaw for 85 reasons. Yeah.
So...
Well, that's the thing, too. It does kind of count as a bit of a Gish Gallop, sort of, because, like, Six isn't getting to dispute each individual thing, right? So, if Batman says 80 things, and then the first 5 of them are wrong, or like, if Batman says, like, 10 things, and points 2, 7, and 9 are wrong, then... it's going to take a long time to get there and to remember, and like be more challenging to address and like identify which of those things in that order need to be addressed, etc., etc. So like I just think it's not good form to go on and on and on like this. It's just, like I again, like, I'm not trying to deny that Batman has a right to lay out all the evidence he thinks is necessary for his case, but at a certain point, if it's not being, like, levied in the form of a dialogue, it's almost like, well, what's the point? You know, like, why not just have this debate over text at that point, right?
No, wait, no, Kenrod, mic up. Like, come the fuck on now, nigga.
What?
Yeah, the energy. Yeah, I agree with your assessment. This energy is like very, very yo-yo-ish, if that makes sense.
What's up, Ken?
Yeah, I mean, go ahead and because it sounds like you're just kind of going over the whole debate again and all that, and I'd rather keep it at least a little bit shorter so everyone gets a chance to talk. Six has been kind of patient.
The only other thing I was bringing up it was a new point, was there's consistency of Sasuke and Kakashi having to create openings or land a Chidori from behind instead in order to land the Chidori, which again is more like evidence to show that it is not a fucking speed amp, and it's because of the Sharingan and pre-con.
He already said that. That's not even a new point. He already said that.
We see examples with Sasuke using Genjutsu in order to land a Chidori on Deidara. We see an example where he uses Genjutsu to land a fucking Taijutsu move on Deidara. We see examples with Kakashi having to do the Ninja Hounds in order to land a Chidori because of... So, again, that's all I'm getting. And point being said is there's tons and tons of consistency of how the Chidori actually works with the Sharingan. Anyway.
That's fine. Let's go ahead and let Six actually get a chance to respond there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, have a good night, Shinigami. Take care. To be fair, if Batman were to be more concise, and if you took the interpersonal conflict and drama out of this, I don't think he's doing anything wrong in the broad strokes. In other words, like, he wants to try to establish that the Chidori is not a speed amp for whatever reason, and he's trying to do that by saying, here is all this evidence from multiple different fights, and I am prepared to provide the scans for that. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's actually great. And I think that even though I might not agree with his conclusions, I think that in what he's saying, there's potentially some valid points there about, like, okay, if I'm understanding this correctly, like, Sasuke was fighting Deidara and was doing, pretty well, and then he turned on the Chidori, and then he was still doing pretty well, or whatever. So we don't see him, like, in this particular fight, gain a great advantage of speed when he turns on the Chidori. And then, it seems like that's what he's doing. Like, he's going from fight to fight and being like, okay, Sasuke goes from not having the Chidori to having the Chidori, and we don't see him get faster, if I'm understanding correctly. Okay, that's great. So I don't think he's doing anything wrong with that. I think that's totally fine. Somehow between that and where we're at now, something has broken down. And I'm not sure if it's just because Batman, like, keeps looping over and over again. I'm not sure if it's because of the interpersonal conflict. It's just sort of bizarre for me listening back to this, because it feels like if he said the exact same thing that he just said, but he said everything and kept it within 2 to 3 minutes and had the scans all ready to go, and there wasn't already beef between these two people, that, like, Six would, I would think, would probably find it reasonable, or at least be like, oh, okay, I disagree with that, let's talk about it, right? Like, there's nothing... Sometimes people will come up with takes that are just, like, ridiculous. Like, I think like some of the stuff that Noodles has said about, like, well, Kakazu took no damage whatsoever, or, like, it's more likely than not that it was a Biju bomb in the background, or, like, Yugito is a perfect Jinchuriki, like, stuff like that. It's like, okay, you basically just made that up. There's no foundation for that, etc., right? Like, there is something seriously wrong with the observation of the argumentation being made. You can dispute what Batman is saying, but underneath, like, the core of it is pretty reasonable, to the point of at least worth having a conversation about, right? That feels like it's not necessarily disingenuous. So that's kind of the tragedy of debates like this, is that somehow that gets completely lost. Because, like, I'm sympathizing with Six. I'm sitting here listening to this and being like, how is he still talking? How is he still going over this again and again and again? And, like, it's like a fog kind of envelops my brain, and I can't think anymore. It's like it's putting me to sleep. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm just saying that something is getting lost in the delivery, and it's kind of sad, because there's an alternate universe in which a really interesting and productive conversation was had, and somehow it just didn't happen, Slimy Europe says, fine, it's 561. Martyr says that having his face on his chest lets him see what's coming next. That's I know exactly what you're talking about. I can picture it in my head. And yes, you are absolutely right. I'm trying to think if No, sorry, I lost my train of thought there, but yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so any example where they had to create a diversion in order to use the Chidori, that only matters for your point if they were physically relative to the opponent beforehand, which you showed in literally none of the cases you presented. If it's the case that they need to use the Sharingan in combination with the Chidori, that's because of both the tunnel vision and the fact that the jutsu makes you too fast. That's why when Kakashi obtains the Sharingan, he's able to use the Chidori effectively, but beforehand he's not, and Minato says directly that it makes you too fast. All the responses that Batman gave are under a preconceived notion or a presupposition that the opponents are all relative to one another. And again, in none of the examples that he provided is that the case. He said that Kakashi needed Obito to do an opening with his Sharingan. In this case, Kakashi's literally missing an eye. He just lost it and is learning how to adjust without it. Sasuke saying that he can't dodge Gaara without taking time to predict him with the Sharingan.
I don't think that's necessarily the case. I admit, like, I'm kind of glazing over a little bit here. Like, my attention is kind of waning, so I might be missing something. Don't take my word for this as like written in stone or whatever. But I don't think Batman was necessarily saying that. I don't think he was saying that, or sorry, I don't agree that this is contingent on the characters being relative before. I think what Batman was trying to establish is, like, are there instances that we can identify where characters, like, turn on the Chidori and then they get a very noticeable speed boost? And I think his perspective is that you can see a bunch of fights in which characters try to use the Chidori and it doesn't necessarily give them that boost that we should see. It's sort of like Sage's expected evidence arguments, right? Like, we should expect to see X, Y, or Z evidence if the Chidori is actually a speed amp. We're not seeing that, therefore it is not likely to be a speed amp. I think that's what he's saying. So I don't know that I agree with Six that that Batman has to establish that they're relative beforehand, but I think I get where he's coming from, because it's like, okay, if I don't know, if Jeff is slower than Carl and then Jeff turns on his Chidori and he's still slower than Carl, like, well, he was never relative to him in the first place, so whatever boost he might have gotten, having him be still slower than Carl, ultimately that doesn't really give us any data, right? Like, he could have gotten faster but still be slower because he was never relative in the first place, right? So, I get it. I think this is one of those things where, like, outside of a debate context, it would be easier to see eye to eye about this.
At this point, Sasuke has used 2 Chidoris, so he's already weakened. And that just...
I don't think that means he's weakened. I think that means that he just has less chakra reserves.
And Gaara also got faster. He's already weakened. And that just means that Gaara...
He made 2 new...
Oh, Slimy said, I don't remember where I heard it might have been TG. Not sure, though. Would they describe the Chidori as a speed amp while running and not an in-air amp? Yeah. I'd be curious if you could track that down. No pressure, of course. But yeah, I think that's kind of in line with what we've been talking about so far, yeah?
New claims I need to respond to.
Yeah, cool. Anyway,
new claims.
That just means... Okay, nigga, shut up, bitch!
I think doesn't make any sense and doesn't matter because then...
I don't care. Wait, no, let me finish. Bro, this nigga, like, you're so stupid, disingenuous, dishonest, and a bitch. Lame ass nigga, shut your stupid ass up. You got a 4-year-old. Shut the fuck up.
Both of you are complaining about letting niggas go. So you just gotta let niggas finish their thought process out and then let the other nigga go, bro. No matter how long they talking, whatever you feel like they repeat themselves. If he repeat himself, then that plays in your favor. But yeah, both parties can't complain, and then but go ahead.
So yes, the Chidori is a jutsu that's easy to counter because it gives the user tunnel vision and they cannot see the counters that are flying at them. With the Sharingan, that difference is negated. The reason they get tunnel vision is because of how fast they're moving. They cannot keep up with the speed that they are moving at. None of these examples responds to the... You've made new claims too. Shut up, bitch ass nigga.
You said they can't see with the Chidori. That's a new claim. I can easily contradict and debunk that. Can I fucking respond?
D1 just said to shut the fuck up. If I'm repeating myself, how did I make a new claim?
Okay.
I make a new claim or did I repeat myself?
Oh my god. It's tough to listen to this after a while. Let's see. Spicy says, I think there's something to say about Six going, look at all these implications of speed increase being better than Batman just refuting one example equals no, it's not a speed increase. Yeah, so you think that he's kind of like, you think that Six has a stronger case overall because he's identifying the knock-on implications of what would be the case if there were a speed increase? Or do you think I feel like maybe he's just like, he is countering Batman's potential counters, if that makes sense. Would you agree? Oh wait, hang on a second. Oh, That's weird. You might have had a short interruption in the stream there. Sorry about that. I just got like a weird OBS pop up, so hopefully you guys can still hear me. But yeah, I think I'm doing a bad job paraphrasing what you're saying, but I think I get where you're saying. I think Six is starting from the not preconception, but like the general community consensus that the Chidori is a speed amp, and then Batman is disputing that, and then Six is disputing his disputes, and I think he's doing an okay job disputing the disputes. While I won't say necessarily that Six has very solidly established that the Chidori is a speed amp with positive claims, I think that he's doing an okay job of like trying to address Batman's potential debunks to that hypothesis, if that makes sense.
Yes, two things can be true. You repeated yourself and you keep going.
How did I repeat myself? Wait, how did I repeat myself? Wait, how did I repeat myself? What did I repeat?
I can debunk that right now, and that doesn't go through, and it's as simple as that.
Cool. Now, I could have debunked hell of this shit. No. Moderators, holy fuck. Do something.
Oh, TG did Sasuke versus Neji. That'd be cool to react to.
I'll let him rant.
You can say him moderate. He's the owner of the server.
Wait,
I mute
D1.
him.
All you need to do is keep on the mute button.
Yeah, well, that's another thing too, right? Like, if Noodles and I talked about possibly having a conversation, which I don't think is going to happen, but I also talked about having a conversation with Sage. You know, if we do that and it becomes a debate or anything like that, then I'm going to advocate for us doing it on a completely neutral territory, which will ideally a third party like somebody else. Like I suggested, Walkie Talkie, if they would be interested in hosting a debate with Sage, something like that, right? Where we would go to another server, we would like even create a brand new server that we would then just delete after the debate was done. And that way, you know, like either everybody would have permissions or ideally nobody would have permissions except a third party who would be moderating, because that way we don't get other people involved in and like messing with things in the server, and that way we don't have to worry about like people abusing their permissions or whatever, and we can just focus on the discussion itself. There should be somebody who basically has a fuck you button, right? There should be an objective or a separate third party who can just push a button that makes everybody shut the fuck up and calm down. And if other people in that server can just override it, then what's the point of having the moderator there, right? Like, so Batman should lose points, so to speak, for if he's overriding the moderation actions of the moderator. Like, that's not cool. That's not like good sportsmanship.
And he'll have to keep
It was in Sasuke versus Neji. Okay, cool.
unmuting himself too.
Oh, so you just want to play tag? Like this?
No,
I'm muted. D1, I'm muted. He wants to rant. Let him. That's fine.
I'm just gonna local mute each one of you until the other one gets a point out, and just switch between the local muted.
You mean server mute?
After this, you gotta do the server mute. But after this, I'm 100% fine to do that. That way that the debate can continue with some structure. I will say, please, when you are doing that, take into account when he is repeating himself, because I don't need to keep hearing it. Now, aside from what I said, earlier I told Batman that whatever he says, because he keeps repeating himself and talking for too long, whatever he says that I don't hear or remember, I'm going to dismiss as a shotgun. He said that is fine. So anything that I did not just respond to, no, I didn't agree to that. 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 Like, why do you niggas, bro, Ken Rock, you deadass just said what you were gonna go do and didn't do it. Shut him the fuck up. Like, what's the point of moderators? You niggas aren't doing anything.
Finish this, or I'm gonna show the scan to debunk your.
Anyway, yeah. So all the other shit that he said, I literally don't remember at this point because he talked for 20 minutes because he can't be concise at all. So I'm dismissing it as a shotgun. I never agreed that he can do the same thing. All that happened was I said it, and then he said, "Okay, that's fine." Go ahead.
I mean, to be fair, just saying nuh-uh to your opponent, being like, well, I didn't follow that, or I didn't want to listen to it, or it was too long, or it annoyed me, so you lose. That's not a rebuttal. That's not actually, you know, that doesn't actually solve anything. But also, as a human being like, I am not going to acknowledge or engage with that, right? Like, I think that when you agree to a debate in the same way that you agree to a basketball game with somebody, for example, you're agreeing to abide by a certain like code, and the code should be respected, and there should be a certain amount of dignity afforded to it. And but if you show up to, I'm trying to think of a decent example, and I'm not going to be able to. You show up to a basketball match, and it's for some reason it's just a one-on-one with you and another person, and then like every 5 minutes, they just pull down their pants and show you their ass crack, and then fart, and then put their pants back on, and it's like, okay, that was weird, and then you keep like playing and running around the court, and then they just keep doing that, right? They just keep pulling their pants down and farting, and then pulling their pants back up and running around. At a certain point, you don't have to maintain decorum, right? Like, or sorry, you don't have to continue to work around that. You don't have to be like, oh, okay, I'm going to continue to allow for my opponent to continue doing this and just make room for him and then just quietly allow him to do his own weird little thing, right? Like, you can disengage from that. You can be like, you know what? Yeah, you technically had the ball, and after you did that for the 50th time, you then scored a point. But like, I'm not going to agree to consider that point valid because I had to look at your ass crack while you were doing that. And so I'm just not going to accept that. And if the judges or whoever's tallying up after the debate, if you count that, I'm not going to agree to it. And I'm going to either leave or not consider this valid. Like, that's within your rights too, right? So like, on the one hand, it's like, I want to regard this as a sacred institution of debating. You're in the hallowed halls of a debate. And so once you enter into the arena, everything is recorded and it's officialized and blah, like, I'd like to believe that. But also, if you as a human being are just like, you know what, this sickens me, this vexes me, I'm done, like, I don't care. Fair, right? We only have a limited amount of time on this planet. If you feel a need to disengage, nobody's bound to this shit, right? Like, yeah.
Bitch.
That was fucking perfect.
Go ahead, man.
All right. So to respond to that, he's been shocking in this whole fucking time as well. So that doesn't even matter. Let me show me here. So he's been shocking in this whole time. It doesn't even matter. So at the end of the day, like, we've been both fucking giving plenty of points and counterpoints because he's making multiple points and I'm giving multiple counters and so on and so forth. He's been repeating himself as well. I've done it because of whether if he's interrupting me or because I'm actually going over
with the link in the reaction channel. Cool. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm gonna go and add it to. Let's just bring this up so I don't forget. Yeah, okay, cool. I got this up in my other window. After the stream, I'll add it to my list. I don't always agree with TG's takes on everything, but I do, his videos are usually really good quality. And I appreciate, like, the enthusiasm and the positivity that he brings. So, yep, I'll be happy to check it out.
for certain scans, again, to demonstrate a consistency of what I am claiming to be the case and to reinforce it with further substantiation. So he's confusing it with either repeating whatever, when no, all I'm doing is showing tons and tons of examples of how the Shidori works and functions, along with the precognition and the Sharingan actually being the deciding factor for the jutsu itself to be successful. Kakashi concedes and says that. Okay, it's shown with defeats on top of it. Sasuke even says it himself in Boruto, how it works, and even explains it to Sadara on top of it and says the exact same
repeating
thing.
himself again.
Okay?
He's repeating himself.
So anyways, no, I'm responding to what you said because you're making a bunch
You're
of
not responding
bullshit-ass
anything.
fucking
You just
But he's kind of doing both. He's trying to respond, but he is also kind of repeating the same stuff as before.
you just said the
Okay.
same thing you've
Now,
already
the
been
new
saying.
claim-
Honestly, if I were the moderator in this situation, like I said this last time, I would do what Six himself has done and be like, okay, you guys, I'm giving you each 5 minutes to wrap this up, right? Like, you guys got to talk about other feats. You got to talk about other things in the debate. So, conclude on this point and then move on. I think that would be fair. TG's takes are varied, but they do have evidence, not like a certain like a certain amalgamation of broth and inserts. Yes.
Two claims that he added was then the I claim where like, oh, this is about it because he can't see whatever. That literally doesn't even fucking contest with what I'm getting.
Spicy says, I gotta go today and looking forward to catch the next one. Lovely to chat with y'all again. Yeah, you too, man. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I should be back on Sunday at 6 p.m. EST. We'll probably be doing the reaction to the walkie-talkie versus Sage of the Cavs debate. But yeah, take care. Hope you have a great night.
At because the same Kakashi was fighting that same guy having multiple physical exchanges with both eyes, okay? And he still wasn't able to land a blow. with both eyes. He needed Obito's precognition. So again, you're still getting bitched. That doesn't go through either. And on top of it, he then gets an eye, a Sharingan with fucking precognition, and still struggles to land a physical fucking blow.
I'd like to just pat myself on the back for not nitpicking the precognition thing, but it's there.
And then
I totally could.
has to jump back, do a Chidori, and then is able to land with the blow with his fucking precog. It's that fucking simple. Point being said is there's all these physical feats where he's fighting physically, okay, and then he's doing the Chidori, and it's the same shit happening, and there's still relativity between these characters. Because again, all we've been talking about this whole time is if there's relativity that you keep denying this whole time, when there's blatant relativity. And I'm saying there has to be, because
You're saying the same thing again.
because then you're saying that the speed amp and all that bullshit, which that doesn't make any fucking sense. So that was the new claim you made. Shit. Then the other new claim.
Let's Six respond to that real quick before you go on.
Wait. The other new claim, okay, he did two. Okay,
You just ignore the moderators. Yeah, they say they're not going to allow shotgunning anymore, dumbass. Pinrock, once again, be a moderator. Talking isn't enough with this nigga.
I was not done.
Yes, that's the
very
point.
patiently and be muted when he's not done, but I don't get the
They
same
don't.
luxury.
You dumbass. They don't want shotgunning
Mute him or I'm
anymore.
gonna mute him. Mute him or I'm gonna mute him. I
Like
swear to
you
fuck God.
niggas are dead ass useless.
No. Fuck you. You're fucking useless. They've been fair to you more this entire time. I've actually been the one muted.
They are saying they don't want the shotgunning anymore.
You just did it.
I mean, like, I really do find it frustrating when people that they are speaking for the moderators and then yelling at the moderators. Like, I'm not trying to point fingers at anybody in particular, but this whole setup just isn't working for anybody clearly. It might have honestly been better if they had just agreed to a ceasefire and been like, you know what, let's just try this again some other time when we're in the right headspace, when we have the right moderation, the right server, environment set up. Because, like, at a certain point, like, regardless of the beef, regardless of whoever has whatever to prove, you gotta just be realistic and cut your losses sometimes, sunk cost fallacy and all that, right? Like, at a certain point, it's just like, this is just not going anywhere. Let's save ourselves the trouble and let's, like, try again later. That is an option, I think, that people are maybe reluctant to choose to use, because if you're the one who says, I want to stop this, it makes you look like you're like the loser, or like you're the coward, or you're bowing out or whatever. But honestly, like, fuck all that. Like, your sanity is worth saying something like that and taking, like, a chip to your ego, if you want to even call it that. Or just, like, don't let other people if people aren't gonna be understanding of that, then that's kind of on them, right? Like, fuck it.
I'm not gonna lie if it keeps
I'm
going.
responding to your two new thing.
I'm not gonna lie if it keeps going on like this. I'm just dead ass gonna say it's just the dialectic's just broken as all hell.
Yeah, fair.
No, it doesn't matter if you say that. That doesn't make the dialectic broken. What are you talking about? You can say it's being broken. It's not broken. You can fix it by actually enforcing your mod
Can I
power.
respond to that, please?
I keep trying
It's not all on Kenrock to do that.
to enforce the moderation, and you guys both just keep having problems no matter which way I go with moderation.
Yeah,
Okay,
that is true.
hold
That
up.
is absolutely
Wait,
true.
us having problems doesn't matter. You are the
No,
moderator.
Yes, it
Do
does.
something.
Yes, it does.
Like of course he's
I
gonna
just,
have a
I
problem.
just tried to do something. I just tried to let you go at it. Now the other
And he
person's
had
saying
an
that we
issue,
can't
yes,
do
but
it, and I
you are
can't-
the moderator. You understand that, right? You are the moderator.
I'm
You
gonna
just
mute him if
said
you don't mute him.
you
I
just
need to
said
address the
you
other
don't
new
want
thing.
shotgun.
Yeah, it's just, like, not productive at all, and it's not fair to the dude who's just, like, trying. Yeah, W moderator moment. Like, he's trying.
And again,
Seriously.
you just said that. He is blatantly going against that, and you're just letting him do it. I'm just telling
Yes,
you,
and
enforce
that's why
your
I'm
own
saying
rule.
the dialectic is broken.
No, the dialectic's
Well, that's
not
why the
broken. All you have to do is
You know what,
enforce your power and mute him.
I forgot. I can just local mute him. That's what I'll just do for now.
Okay,
So,
now he's
hey,
local
what's it
muting me.
called?
That's the
So
same
now
thing.
his audio just
So
won't
now
get muted.
I'm going to make hella claims. I'm going to make hella claims. He chose not to hear them.
But then whenever
Remember
it's me
this. When he gets done
responding to a
talking,
shotgun, and
when he
then
gets done
two fucking
talking, I am
points he
done.
made, okay.
Do you understand me, Ken?
Then he's not getting muted.
Do you
That's
understand
fine.
me? When he unmutes
The
me,
next
I am
point he
done.
made was the
He
fucking
chose
short
not
with
to
the
hear me,
television
so
and
he
all that,
chose
blah,
not
blah,
to hear
blah.
these
You can't use
claims.
it without the shotgun, that's bullshit, whatever.
Okay,
That's not
everything
fucking
Batman
true.
says is
We
not
literally
true
see five
because
seconds
unicorns
summon
aren't real,
Sasuke using
and
his
Sasuke
Chidori
is stronger
without
than
the
Neji,
fucking
faster than
shotgun because he
Neji,
lost his
cooler than
vision.
Neji,
No
and would
shotgun,
beat
no
him in
MS or
any
nothing,
fight
okay?
because
And he
unicorns are
literally
not real.
does the
That
same
is my
fucking
reasoning and
Raikkonen
evidence.
Chidori
When he
and
gets
the
done,
same thing
I
all
am
the fucking
done.
hours.
He chose
You
not
can
to hear
most
my
definitely
claims.
use the Chidori.
That is the
Okay,
burden
that's
of
bullshit.
rejoinder.
Regardless of the tunnel vision, blah, blah, all that, whatever, you can still use the fucking Chidori. That does not make any fucking sense whatsoever. Zero fucking sense. Kakashi.
I mean, I will. This is like that's the joke. Dot MP3. What's the fuck that was? No, what did I do? Shit. Fuck. Okay, so I'm losing at this point. So like obviously like that's the joke, like the joke, the whoosh, that's the sound of the joke going over my head, etc., right? Like I understand that this is not the point, but I fuck, you know what? I was trying to do a bit and then I totally lost my train of thought. Let me start over. This is going nowhere. Let me take my own advice.
Shotting gun with fucking precognition.
Okay, 1 second. He was on the tree. This is actually like part of why it is actually useful to have the gameplay footage in the background, because then I can be like, oh, I lost my place. Oh, he just started off on the Haley tree. Okay, I can just go back and find that part. Whoever the mod is deserves better. Yeah, for sure. I agree. I think he was getting too much shit. Sasuke can be a Beyblade better than Neji. How so? Can he spin? Can he spin like that? You were at 240 something. Yeah, I appreciate it. I used the gameplay footage to find my spot.
Thing and evidence. When he gets done, I am done.
Oh yeah. Okay, so obviously this doesn't work, right? Like Six is well aware that this doesn't work. Like just saying a thing and having your opponent not respond to it doesn't mean that you've actually won anything. So you could argue that this is kind of childish, but I get it. Like it's also fine. It's also understandable to just be fucking done. And if your opponent is literally not going to listen to you talk at all after pretty much filibustering for 20 minutes at minimum, then yeah, I think Ken Rock's commentary that the dialectic is broken is true. Like the conversation has broken down. There is no longer a conversation happening. So yes, obviously Six doesn't win by bringing up unicorns, but also it's understandable why he would be done with this, right? So I said, but Sasuke can be better. He's never been shown to spin as good. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, exactly. Well, it's never been shown, and since we all know that unicorns aren't real, then Sasuke is the #1 Beyblade of the Naruto universe.
He chose not to hear my claims. That is the burden of rejoinder.
Regardless of the tunnel vision, blah, blah, all that, whatever you think.
I don't think that's what that means, but I'm sure Six realizes that as well.
Still use the fucking Shidori. It does not make any fucking sense whatsoever. Zero fucking sense. Kakashi is literally using it and
He's repeating himself again.
Multiple shadow clones of a Jonin with the Shidori without the fucking shotting gun. All that happened when Minato's talking to him, because Six doesn't pay attention, is he's just explaining that it's very easy to counter, blah, blah, whatever, all this shit, yada, yada.
Yeah,
okay.
like a timer, but...
So therefore, you know what I mean? You just don't do it because it's ineffective. You have no way to deal with their counterattack.
Yeah, I like Rat's idea. How about we go with a timer?
No, I just told you. When he gets done talking, I am done. He chose not to hear me, so that's his problem.
And I can't address the new point he made.
He chose to mute me. That is my argument.
That's not true.
So when he gets done talking, I am done. I've said my counters.
Fucking, and then also,
okay.
Yeah, and then what I said before.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you done from that point on then? That's or?
Yeah, that's all it was. It was just the Sasuke thing, and Kakashi doing it. Okay, cool.
I was gonna say I was triggered by Six not resting at the site of grace to get rid of the Scarlet Rod, but it's okay.
I will remove the...
Okay, you guys want to go to conclusion?
There we go.
Then?
I don't need to do any conclusions. I whooped his ass with literally no issue.
So
No. I said, wait. I was shit.
Time out.
Wait, stop. I was shit talking. I'm still going to do a conclusion. I'm just saying I don't need to.
Okay. Well, let's go to conclusion. Which one do you want to go first?
He can go first.
Oh, okay, wow. That's cool.
The first time we decided to be nice to each other.
You do not unmute yourself for this.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, in conclusion, I broke Batman's earlier speed scaling and chain scaling at 3 separate points. From that point, I mean, he was just rambling and repeating himself. Nothing of substance was really said at all. When something of substance did get said, it just got shot down easily. At the end, Batman chose not to hear any of my counters by muting me. So I made the argument that Sasuke would be stronger, faster, cooler, all that than Neji because unicorns are real. Unicorns aren't real, I'm sorry. And then I made the claim that Sasuke would also beat Neji, and all his scaling is wrong because unicorns aren't real. It was the same argument. He didn't get to respond to that. He agreed to conclude. I literally just went off of that. And if not off of that, then the earlier things as well. All right, bitch, man.
Oh shit! Sorry, I forgot I had him muted. Give me 1 second.
Hold up. Who wants to bet bread that this conclusion is over 5 minutes? Who wants to bet bread?
Yo.
Do you want bet bread?
I think there's not really much more for me to say. I think Batman is gonna basically repeat himself, but just to do our due diligence, I think it does go on for like 8 minutes. So let's at least listen to part of it.
Oh, yeah, so that was blatantly
1 second.
incorrect. Six slammed absolutely on his fucking neck and got bodied this fucking debate and could not hang to save his fucking life. Okay, and also, basically also the whole chakra control, that would just simply fucking go through because I'm assuming he's just choosing not to get with that.
I said
which
all his
also has,
arguments fail.
relevance for the whole relativity and all that and so on and so forth. But either way, that's fine. As for the whole Shidori point and whatnot, he just kept being in denial and saying, oh, it's a speed amp because it's this or it's state or whatever. I literally showed blatant contradictions with literally statements that are showing, okay, that it is not a fucking speed amp, where characters are having physical exchanges and able to basically, like, still fight each other, and then even with the Shidori, okay, they're still able to fight each other or respond to each other, which blatantly shows relativity. And that the whole theme...
Oh, yeah, I see. So I actually, hearing it phrased like that, I actually do more side with Six on that argument because, like, I think I was how can I say, crossing the gap a little bit between what Batman was actually saying and what I would have said in his place. But if that's what he's saying, if he's just saying that, like, character A is less than character B, character A plus Chidori is also less than character B, that in and of itself doesn't say that the Chidori that in and of itself is not a hard debunk to the Chidori being a speed amp. I still think the burden of proof would be on Six if he's saying that it is a speed amp to demonstrate that. I think Batman should have just disputed that instead of being like that's probably the biggest mistake that he made, is that he, instead of saying, okay, Six, you need to demonstrate this, you made the positive claim, you put forward your evidence, and then I'll interrogate it. Instead, he was like, oh no, I know this, I've got this, I know all the pieces of evidence, and then he just, like, lists, like, this huge Megillah of, if that's the right term for it, right, like a just huge monolithic amount of evidence and individual examples that he just keeps filibustering with. Well, he didn't need to do that to begin with. He should have just disputed Six's claim. And even so, like, the fact that he can bring up all these examples, none of them are necessarily relevant unless he can actually demonstrate that they're a hard or, like, effective debunk to what Six is saying, and I don't think they are. So, ironically, in Batman's conclusion, he made me side more with his opponent.
Of the Shidori scenario, in order for it to be successful, and so on and so forth, is that it is the Sharingan, the precognition that allows it to be competent and actually work as a whole. Because again, along with Sasuke stating, it's very easy to counter, so on and so forth. Multiple characters say it. Rock Lee, Sasuke himself in Boruto, Minato as well. The list goes on and on. Even Sasuke says against Gaara, without the Sharingan, I would be dead. Not the Shidori, the Sharingan, okay? So at the end of the day, the fucking simple-ass factor is clear as day. With the physical feats that I provided, with the statements on how Shidori actually works as a whole, okay, that it's just a linear jutsu, could be easily counted, blah, blah. Never did Sasuke say, oh, it's a crazy speed amp, or fucking, you know what I mean? Like, all this shit about fucking speed or whatever bullshit. Has nothing to do with that. It's simply just a lightning fucking blade in your arm, and you run at the guy and try to hit him with it, utilizing your own fucking speed, okay? You have to use your own speed. That's it. Simple as that.
Again, like, I think I actually kind of agree with, like, from a casual fan readership standpoint, like, I kind of agree with, Batman's interpretation. I just don't think his argumentation is, like, sufficient to win the debate. Slimy Europe says, I wonder if a Byakugan, could be used to work with the Chidori. I think so. I think it could be quite a lethal combination, right? Also, the amp paradox of insert character is relative to other character. Insert character amps himself in the mouth. They're still fighting relatively. Yeah, it's like, I mean, this is probably a bad example because there's other factors, but, like, Vegeta is below Cell. Vegeta then gets into his big, bulky buff mode. He's still below Cell. The bulky buff mode is actually a boost in some respects, but it's also a detriment in terms of other respects, right? So it's like, the Chidori could be a speed amp, but the fact that Vegeta does still get stronger in some instant, like, with, why can't I talk? Vegeta, when he goes into the big buff form, does still get stronger, but it is still not enough to keep up with Cell. So you could not say that just because he is still inferior to Cell, that going into the buff form did not buff him at all. And I think that's what Batman is saying, right? He's saying that, like, Vegeta is inferior to Cell both before and after that, going into, like, the buff mode, and therefore he's relative in both modes, or he's inferior in both modes or whatever, so there's no effective change. But, like, there is actually a change that happens. It's just still insufficient to close the gap. You know, a better example might be like Goku in base versus Vegeta in the Saiyan arc, right? Insufficient to be able to beat him on his own. Goes into Kaioken times 1, still insufficient. Kaioken times 2, still insufficient. And I think he goes up to 3, right, with the Kamehameha, still insufficient. Does that mean that each of those ascensions into the next grade up of Kaioken do nothing? No, obviously not. But they're just still not enough to close the gap.
And you have to also be fast, okay? And also, literally, the tuning exams, it was blatantly stated on top of it, okay? The whole reason why Kakashi trained Sasuke to get that speed was to use the Chidori. If he's not fast enough to utilize the Chidori and make it effective,
why does he keep saying it like that?
Okay?
Chidori, yeah, that's like, why is he saying it like
I said
that?
before, where
Appreciate the membership,
fucking
Gogeta.
have to
Don't ever do no
create
shit like
openings
that
and make
again, though.
diversions, like again Sasuke versus Naruto, or Kakashi versus Pain, or Zabuza versus Kakashi. The list goes on and on and on. If you have to create openings and make diversions, that clearly goes to show you the Chidori can be easily dealt with, and it's not this fucking weird ass unicorn.
It's also like slightly frustrating that he's using his conclusion to just like, this isn't a debate about the Chidori, right? It's a debate about Sasuke versus Neji. Like, he should be hammering in on all of the ways, the win cons that Neji has. Like, has he even brought up the trigrams? Has he even brought up the rotation? Has the Byakugan even been mentioned once? Has the word Byakugan even been mentioned once in this entire debate? Like, I'm genuinely asking. Also, Dragon Ball buffs are stupid due to how big the multipliers are. Base Goku is at minimum 50 times weaker than Super Saiyan, but both were relative to Tournament of Power Fighters. Yeah, that's I think that the same principle still applies there, but that's a good point, calling out the massive difference between those forms.
Tooth Fairy, Tinkerbell ass fucking speed amp or massive whatever bullshit you're fucking on about. You fucking dumb
The Tooth Fairy Tinkerbell amp. Hadn't thought about that when you put it that way.
fucking bitch, okay, because they're clearly struggling with their fucking opponent. And what we're talking about the whole time is relativity between these characters and their forms.
You think Batman
see
lost?
base
No, you're
Naruto fight
definitely
Sasuke.
biased.
We see fucking Kyuubi Naruto fight that same
Smurf,
Sasuke.
Smurf, who you think won,
Sasuke can
Smurf?
still respond to his attacks, okay?
Y'all give
There's
judgment.
constant relativity.
Did Batman
throughout.
slam?
So meaning, if Six wasn't able to establish and
Should
prove
Kakashi the
that
5 minutes? That's what I'm
transformation
saying, bro. I should have put a
crazy
band
ass
on this
fucking
shit.
amp, and there's a discrepancy, that means Neji would still be above, because we know Neji was above fucking Naruto, okay, and so on and so forth, flat out, which he didn't even want to deal with.
Can we get Jada Great
Let
judgment?
it go and have the whole thing with Ken, blah, blah, the whole nine. And on top of it, what just makes this go all to shit, the whole
He's not
Rock Lee thing we were
concluding.
talking
This
about
is
and the
recapping,
Bowman
chat.
shit
I
and
want y'all to
all
know that. This
slammed
isn't
the
concluding. This is
fuck out of that
recapping.
dumb fucking bitch.
The
Got
40-year-old one.
slammed. The dumb, fat fucking bitch. This dumbass bitch literally said his argument. Oh, but there's a discrepancy with that Lee. The data book says he had some type of crazy power.
Yeah, this is conduct is uncalled for.
Blah, blah, and all this shit. Bitch, you are fucking retarded. That is literally the narrative with Rock Lee the whole time about the power of fucking youth, you stupid bitch. And fucking Guy Lee. And I literally said
They're just letting him. They're never gonna
fucking
unmute me
idiot.
for
And
this.
that was just your interpretation of the statement. I said it's hyperbolic, and that's not correct because there's contradicting evidence. With Lee just getting out of surgery, with Gaara stating that he's less sharper and less faster, comparing him to his tuning exams version, okay? And on top of it, okay, with Rock Lee himself conceding, saying that it will kill him and he cannot use any other gates except for the first gate. And even that alone is a risk to potentially fatally fucking kill him. But he can only go that far, okay? And that
Chidori
he's
doesn't
fucked
have
up.
speed.
So meaning there's all this evidence in
We
the
just
world
came
to
up
indicate
with
the high
6
probability that this Lee is not, okay, stronger than the tuning exams Lee. He's actually weaker than the tuning exams Lee, yet he's still performing the way he's performing.
I mean, honestly, I'm gonna let this go on for a couple more minutes until the 3-hour mark. But then, I have nothing to say. I have nothing to add here, right? It's just like recapping. So I'll let it go to the 3-hour mark. But then I think we're done.
Okay, outperforming Kyuubi Naruto, 'cause that's what we talked about before.
Oh, sorry. Slammy Orb says, and I say minimum since technically base Super Saiyan is actually grade 4, which is additional multipliers being like 300 times or something like that. Okay, yeah, that is very significant for sure.
Okay, when Kyuubi Naruto could even land a single fucking hit on Bowman, while Lee with weightless speed could land multiple
I can't.
hits. Drunken
I'm gonna
Fist
skip ahead a
will
little.
I should have put
because
10
Neji,
bands on
okay,
this shit.
Lee needs a third gate and up to beat fucking Neji. So Neji is literally above all versions of Lee except for that level of fucking Lee. Meaning, therefore, Neji would also be superior than that Sasuke and that Naruto. He would beat the fuck out of him. And Six never...
Well, I mean, like, again, points for finishing a scaling chain, but like, okay, above, but like how? I don't know. I don't know. To me, like, to me that's not enough. To me, just establishing like fucking I don't know. I'm trying to be fair. If I were to grant that scaling chain, then I think that would count for something. And arguably, since Six hasn't put forward his own scaling chain, then Batman would, I don't want to say win, but he would have the edge. But the problem is, I don't think that's enough, right? Just saying that, like, okay, to some extent, Neji is quote unquote over Sasuke because these characters along the way are also slightly over each other, or not, I shouldn't say slightly, just to some extent over each other. I don't know. I don't know that transfers in Naruto. It's not like it's not all just about discrete power levels. It's also about how the fighters think and how their jutsu clash and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I don't have a problem with like Chunin exam Sasuke and Chunin exams Lee. I think Lee has not Lee, I'm sorry, Neji. I think Neji has the advantage with the Byakugan and the rotation and all that stuff. I don't really see how Sasuke is getting to him. Sasuke has 2 shots to get to him if he doesn't use the Curse Mark 3 if he does. But in CS2, like I don't know. I just, to me there's not enough elaboration or exploration of what their actual abilities are and how they interact and how they might counter each other. It's just this vague, like, this character's over other character, character is over yet another character. Like, A over B, B over C, therefore A over C. Yeah, but, like, I don't know. Especially in the Naruto verse, just being a bit over somebody doesn't guarantee you victory, right? Like, you can have stats that are superior to another character's and still lose to them. I don't know. It feels incomplete on both sides.
Never even contested this. He just let it go. Where I said Sasuke has shit durability feats, where he gets fucked up by base Naruto and is bleeding from punches. Okay, so there goes that.
He's talking about durability in a Neji debate.
With gentle fist and just fuck him up and kill him. Okay?
He's talking about durability in a Neji debate.
See him
Durability's fair game.
to form of Spider-Man, and that wouldn't fucking matter either. But it wouldn't even fucking matter. But I didn't say this in the debate. Fucking Sasuke can't even stay in this fucking shit for long. I think he has like 2 moves and he's fucking cooked.
I also don't really think it's fair to introduce new arguments during your conclusion when your opponent can't really address them.
Either way, that wouldn't help either. But anyways,
Kabuki was slammed this
You
nigga.
fucking suck, Six. We can let Ken and D1 judge this fucking shithole of a fucking debate. And I'll actually take accountability, unlike you, because you fucking suck, okay? For how the debate structure was and whatnot, it's because you are fucking retarded. And was there certain moments where, sure, I was making an issue, whatever, sure, but you were doing the same exact shit.
Oh, no, I'm not guilty of anything. I've never been guilty of anything in my whole life.
Like, now judges are going to give
I
a
don't know.
judgment.
I don't think that's true for anybody.
And we can just go from there, because you fucking suck, bitch.
Your conclusion was 8 minutes. Your conclusion was 8 minutes, 55 seconds. That's crazy.
Oh, yeah, easy claps, easy claps, easy claps, easy
Okay.
claps, easy claps.
Kenrock, D1,
everybody had enough.
you can give your whichever one of you wants to go first. You can give it. I don't give a fuck what the fuck bitch the great says. By the way, he can post his judgment wherever the fuck he does.
I'm gonna post mine in a little bit. I'm gonna go over everything and make sure that I actually take all things that are said into account, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Because I want to be fair to everyone.
Okay, well, I think that's it. I don't really have anything else to say. I think hopefully I've been fair. The ironic thing is that in listening back to this, I think that Batman actually, like, underneath everything, has some good points. He made some good points. He came with some evidence. He came with some, prepared to share scans and to evaluate the scans. He was able to, when they weren't fighting, I mean, like, he was able to engage with what Six was saying and have a bit of a back and forth, and Six was able to do that as well. I think in another mirror universe where these 2 individuals were able to, they were friends and they were just having a friendly debate, I think that it would have been pretty close. I might have even given it to Batman based on, like, my personal agreement with some of his points. But I think that it's really hard to judge this fairly and clearly given how much animosity there is and given, like, how shitty the conduct is, frankly, throughout the debate. I think that even though Batman did a good job of bringing certain things to bear, he didn't sufficiently, like, stick the landing. There are certain points that I agree with, but at the end of the day, I can't really say that he really convinced me personally of the superiority of his character. He convinced me maybe of certain individual connectors in his scaling chain that I think feel reasonable, but I think Six also had reasonable agreements, reasonable contentions to those things. So ultimately, I think it's a stalemate. I don't think that there's a clear winner. Six, I can't really give Six a victory on this because he didn't like submit a scaling chain. He didn't really make positive arguments for the most part in favor of Sasuke that I can recall anyway, so it doesn't really feel right to say that he won. If we use the house rules that they agreed to, do I think that he debunked or like he addressed Batman's concerns efficiently, that he at least poked at and at least identified some potential weaknesses with Batman's scaling chain? Sure. So if they did actually agree to that, then I guess I can give Six the victory based on that like house rule kind of impromptu decision. But I don't feel great about it in that I don't it's definitely not the version of the debate that I wanted. It's not like the definitive conclusion of either person really doing a better job than the other. It really just kind of feels like a stalemate. It feels weird to give a concrete verdict one way or another given everything surrounding this debate. But it's a fun topic. It's been fun going over it. Been fun sharing the discussion with you all. I appreciate that Six. I know he checked out the first episode, so to speak. So Six, if you do wind up checking this out, I think you already know this, but just as a reminder, the reason that I do this first and foremost is just to both learn more about the topic, but also to share my thoughts in the form of like peer review or feedback. My hope here, what I hope to accomplish, is that whoever listens to this learns more about the characters and learns more about debating, including myself. So it's not necessarily to point out that like, oh, I think this person is better than the other person, or this person won the beef or whatever. It's more just to say like, look, let's take this as a learning opportunity as a community to try to figure out how we can do better next time. What I would like to see personally is I'm torn because I think like I used the gameplay footage a few times to help me find my place, but I'd like to see a debate where there is the debate happens on neutral territory, and I understand it was Batman who maybe didn't let you guys do it anywhere else, so okay, that's understood. But like ideally, it would be a neutral territory with one judge, one moderator, and then basically, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, just like in a situation where the dialectic could not be so egregiously deteriorated. Like people could just have a fucking conversation, which I understand is like probably not gonna happen here. But also just seeing the scans on screen consistently, I do think that as much as I enjoy it, the gameplay footage is a bit distracting. It would be better to just see the scans. That being said, yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Appreciate you guys coming along on the journey, so to speak. Slimy Europe says, wait, you reviewed Webcam Spirits Kakuzu thing? Yeah, in the video section of my channel, the first video that I ever uploaded was a response to that debate, and then the second thing, like my biggest project, was responding to Swag versus Noodles on Kakuzu versus, not Kakuzu, Itachi versus Pain. That was like my first big project before I started streaming. And then I started streaming mostly because I wanted to continue trying to participate in these discussions, so to speak, but I didn't. It took me like 3 or 4 months to get that video out, and I was working on it like in all my spare time. It took like hundreds of hours to do, and I was like, I can't just like make 1 or 2 videos a year like this. It's gonna drive me crazy, and I'm gonna be missing out on all this stuff. So I started streaming mostly as a way to just try to connect with people more directly and respond to things more quickly. Yeah, I do want to make some more content. I have the Kieran and the Stellar Friends shorts, but I have more shorts that I want to do, and now I should actually have the time to do so. So it's fun. Damian Lynch says Umberto when Sarda or Sadara first does Lightning Blade, she gets visibly faster. Sorry, by the way, I'm behind in the video. Oh yeah, no worries, dude. I think that that's possible. That's possible. I'm willing to review that. I think it would be fun to do like a Chidori slash Raikiri stream where we just look at as many of the statements and feats as we can and see if we can put that to bed, like see if we can figure it out together. But yeah, thank you for stopping by the stream, everybody. Thanks for participating. Hope you all have a great night. I should be back on Sunday at 6 p.m. EST, I'll send out a post and a message as usual when I'm about